Huh? 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 Welcome, Slasher Scotty. All set up and I don't even know what to say. Look at you. Look at you.
I am Gruntilda right now. I had to do it. I mean, we're doing Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. How can you do this without having Gruntilda in the mix?
I feel a little underdressed. I'm not going to lie. I was like, immediately when you said you were dressing up, I was like, heck yes. And then I thought to myself, what can I do? Can I do anything? And the answer was no, I can't because I have nothing. I even contemplated wearing my Clanker shirt. And I was like, well, that's not Banjo. I was like, just give up. Just stop. I was like, so I'm settling for the, decor. I got my little Banjo Kazooie desk pad. I've got the banner and all the collectibles and stuff in the back. I'm like, it's fine. It'll work. People know what my channel's about, right?
Absolutely.
So I had to bring you on here because we needed to just define something. I asked my community what they wanted to see from me, and they were like, tier lists. And then talking to you and like collabing, and I was like, well, we need to make a Banjo tier list. That's what we need to do. I was like, you're like, I want to collab on something with Banjo with you. And I'm like, let's do it. So we're going to go through every level from Kazooie and Tooie. And we're going to do this tier list here on Tier Maker, which I actually made this tier list. It's available. I'll put it in the description. So anybody that wants to go make their own tier list can go on and rank all the levels. And actually, toward the end of this video, I'm going to share some of the community results because I had quite a few people like go in and rank the levels. So we'll just see where our tier list stands versus their tier list. I think it's going to be kind of cool to take a look and see what people think. And if people are like-minded, if we're like in the norm of Banjo ranking levels, or if we're like totally off base, or if they're totally off base, because honestly, I find myself being kind of an authority on rare games and Banjo. So I'm like, what I say, people tend to listen. So, and if they don't, I don't care. But I figured, why not start with Kazooie? And so why don't I would say let's go in order, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure if I have the order like 100% correct. I mean, I played this 100,000 times, but I'm like, what level comes after what? The first few for sure, but once you get into like Freezy Peak, Bubblegloop Swamp like territory, then I'm like, wait, which one's first? You know what I mean? I'm kind of like, oh, all right. But, all right. So let's get into it. We're going to start with Kazooie's levels, and we're just going to pick them out here from this little thing. So how this works is you got an S tier, an A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. And obviously D being the worst, S being the best. And we shall go through and rank these levels. So Scotty and I are going to go back and forth about what we like about the levels, some of the unique aspects of it, like could be the music, the characters, some of the missions. And let's just start this by saying not all levels are created equal. And I think I said this, I have a whole analyzing series where I go through every aspect of Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie, and I talk about every little thing I like, music-wise, graphic-wise, gameplay-wise, character-wise, mission-wise, even just collectibles, like which ones I really liked and which ones I didn't. So there is like a proper scaling of 1 to 10 on all these levels on my channel. If you want to go check out some of that content, I'll put it up in the corner, wherever it is, probably this corner. I don't know. I guess it will
Definitely
be now.
Check it out. I watched the Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie ones, and they are phenomenal.
Gotta love that commentary. I feel like it's very it's less serious. It's very on the nose. So, but yeah. So I'm happy to have you here, and I'm happy to get into it. So I put these in here, and I just want to say, like, I wasn't sure if Spiral Mountain counted as a level, but I decided to include it anyways because it's the tutorial. It's not really like an actual level, but I felt like it was worth mentioning because it is in Kazooie and Tooie, and you do have stuff to do in it, right? You know, even if it is a tutorial. So, starting with Spiral Mountain in Kazooie, what are your thoughts? I'm going to pass it off to you to start.
All right. I actually enjoy Spiral Mountain. I think it's a really good tutorial. It really dives into the basic moves and introduces you to the game just from start to finish. Like, it introduces you to the extra honeycomb piece, like the honeycomb pieces where you lose your energy, and the extra honeycomb pieces where it can increase your energy bar when you collect 6 of them in each world. It introduces you to the main controls, like the camera, the swimming, the climbing, you know, and it teaches you some offensive moves, or defensive, whatever you want to say it, but like actual move sets, like the claw swipe attack, which I really don't like that move. I barely find myself using it, but the beak barge attack, which you do need for some items in the game, and it teaches you, you know, some other stuff that I think is really good, and it introduces you to like bottles and Kazooie's like her sense of humor. So I really think it's good for a hub world, not a hub world, but like an intro tutorial world. Do you want me to give my ranking now, or?
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think just off the top of your head?
Tutorial, so I would say probably A for me.
Probably A. All right, I'm going to put it here, and now I'm going to give my thoughts. So I think Spiral Mountain in Kazooie specifically is phenomenal. Okay? And the first starting out, when you first start into that game and it hits you with that banger of a track, like, man, you come in and you're like, oh, I'm ready to have an adventure. Like, it's all colorful, it's vibrant, it's amazing. I didn't even think about, that's when you're introduced to every character, but Bottles specifically. And I don't know about you, but when you first start the level and you come outside of the house, immediately I'm like, well, I want to go back and see if I can go inside the house. And you can. Like, how often in a game would you not be able to do that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, that was huge for me. And just going in and seeing where Banjo lived. Like, he's a bear that lives in a house. He's a bear. Is this house blue? I was going to say he's a bear in a big blue house.
It is actually. I think it is blue.
I think it is blue. If it's not blue, I'm going to put a little correction on the thing. But it's, for the remainder of this video, it will be blue.
Yes.
Yeah, but the music is great. The graphics are great. Just the world's colorful. The characters you're introduced to, you fight vegetables, which I think is a really funny way of introducing like all the fight mechanics that you have to embrace. And those veggies are like not threatening at all, and they're not supposed to be, right? They're vegetables, but they just went with it. They could have put any enemy type in the game. They could have put any enemy from the game in there. There are those gorilla-like things in Gruntilda's lair that you could have put there easily, but no, they decided to do like veggies with googly eyes, and I just think that's hilarious, and I am actually going to agree with you. Spiral Mountain Kazooie sits at A.
Yeah, and I have to also, when you mentioned about going into the house, like right when you start, and you can, another thing, since we both played this a million times, I don't know if you tried this, but I was curious, can I do any of the moves, including the camera controls, before I even learn it, if I say I want to learn the basic moves, because, you know, oh, I played this before, I think I could do it. You can't do the moves unless you actually speak to Bottles.
Right. Unless you're a speedrunner and you can do the glitches that go across, or whatever it is. But yeah, that is one of those things, like, you go back and you want to just go as fast as possible. But coming from a first time, like, perspective, I guess, for this level, if someone new is coming in and they start the game off, they're going to be starting off strong. Like, that first tutorial level, it just slaps in just about every way, and it's magical. That's all I'm gonna say. So, Spiral Mountain, A tier. Totally agree. Let's move on to the first official level in the game. Oh wait, you know what? Now that I say that, No. We're gonna wait. Technically, the next part is Gruntilda's Lair, but I'm actually gonna put that. Let's do that more toward the end,
Okay.
when there's actually because you're locked, right? You're locked with your moveset, with your notes.
Yep.
You unlock and progress through Gruntilda's Lair as we move forward. So we'll save that for the end. So the next level, which is technically level 1, Mumbo's Mountain.
Yeah.
All right. And
So, when?
no, you go. You do it.
All right. So Mumbo's Mountain. Oh, I love Mumbo's Mountain. It is very easy. I don't think it takes me longer than max time, 15 minutes to complete the entire world. Maybe even way sooner than that. But I mean, it's a very easy world. Everything is just spot in your face. But it really is a good first world. I mean, I would rather this, and I know we're going to get into it later, but this is a good first world compared to if they introduce you to the game and say a Clanker's Cavern or a Rusty Bucket Bay type of situation. Like, this is the perfect first world because it's not hard, but it gives you the insights. You learn about the Jiggy starting out with Gruntilda's Lair, but then you get more in-depth of the Jiggies in Mumbo's Mountain because it tells you how many you need per world. It introduces you to the musical notes. It then introduces you to the blue eggs. I mean, you learn how to use the blue eggs, and I mean, I don't care how old you are, but it's one thing spitting them out, but it's another thing farting them out, and that, I don't care how old you are, that is always so funny.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If anybody, the people that watch my channel know, I have a special place in my heart for fart noises, and that fart noise from Kazooie when you fart out an egg, A tier at easy.
Yeah, yeah, and the Talon Trot, which is a move I find I use after I learn it every single time. Like, I don't not use it ever. It not only helps you up steep slopes, but it also helps you literally go anywhere you want faster than just being on banjos to pause. You get introduced to Mumbo. I mean, that says it all right there.
Yes.
The transformations, and the Mumbo tokens, and the Jinjos. Like, you just learn a lot of stuff. And I know, like, compared to Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie, they don't say they say there's not as many bosses say in Banjo Kazooie. I find a boss in every world, and I will mention that in every world for Banjo Kazooie, even if they're not technically a boss. Whereas this one, even though he's technically not a boss, I classify Conga as the main boss because he's the gorilla. Like, he's the one you shoot the eggs at to defeat. And then you have to do the orange pads and steal his orange and all that stuff. Honestly, great first world. It really does an amazing job introducing you to the game and to the moves and to Mumbo and the transformations and every collectible you really need in the game at this point. The Witch Switch alone, which, to be honest with you, as a kid, when I hit the Witch Switch, I don't know how long it took me, but it was definitely longer than 2 hours for me to figure out the termite to get up the mountain.
Yes.
But my rating for this, I would probably go A again. I mean, I don't think it's top notch, and there are worlds in Banjo Kazooie that are S caliber. But Mumbo's Mountain, although a great first world, I think the thing lacking it for getting to an S level is just that it's an easy introduction. I mean, it's not meant to be. I mean, it's a great world, don't get me wrong, but it's like everything is right in your face type. Like, there's nothing where you kind of got to figure out what you got to really do. You kind of know.
Yeah, that's fair. Getting into this level, there are a few things I just absolutely adore. One of those is it introduces you to pretty much every item type. And every item type, when you pick it up, talks to you. And that's just a Banjo thing, but there's a lot of them in this level. And I love when you pick up a musical note, for example, and it's like, "Hi, I'm a musical note." Like, I can't remember exactly what they say, but it's like, pick us up to, progress or whatever. There's 100 of us in each level. Going through music notes, jiggies, the aesthetic of the world, that's a word I love to use. It's beautiful. It's got kind of like it's got a little bit of everything, right? It's got the big termite mound. It's got the, like, huts by Mumbo's hut and, like, totem poles and kind of like a Mayan-esque kind of like statues and stuff like that, almost like a Stonehenge kind of a deal, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Congo's section and just the big hill. It's Mumbo's Mountain, it's a mountain, but it's got so much variety in it. It's got a little bridge with water. They did such a good job incorporating all the different mechanics, and it's got those stupid little purple guys that go.
Grublins, yes.
Yes, and as you play the level, they fit really well with the music, and the music in this level is something I just love. The 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 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 down. And those little guys are they just fit perfectly with the music, and I don't know how they do that. It's like no matter when you do it, that little it just fits every time. And it's easy to do. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to find all the jiggies. It's got the first transformation, which I'll be honest, the transformations in Kazooie, while they're not as extensive and thought out, I think, as well as Tooie's in general. But it's a simple little easy transformation, and it gives the point across, right? It's you transform, you change size, you can do something slightly different than you could as Banjo. You can reach a different area, which is pretty much all of Kazooie's transformations. And the fact that Conga and Chimpy are basically DK and Diddy without being DK and Diddy, I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And actually, if anybody watches my analyzing, you'll know Mumbo's Mountain, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I couldn't see... So, yes, it's short, but I couldn't see anything wrong with it, which is where I was coming from. I was very impressed from the get-go, especially the first level. And it's talking to people like Elise Knorr, who wrote the Boss Fights book about GoldenEye, I said, oftentimes, my favorite levels from games are the first level, and I was like, maybe that's when the idea is fresh in their head. That's when they're like really getting creative with it. And she's like, interesting you say that. That's not the case. Typically, the first level is the last level they design because they want to incorporate every mechanic, and everything's well thought out at that point. I'm like, that makes so much more sense. Yeah. So if there was an A+ tier, that's probably where I'd put it. So we'll leave that at A tier. I don't feel like I need to really argue for it to be S tier because there is a Banjo level that I think is definitively S tier and it's better than Mumbo. So A tier, I'm good with that. Yeah. We'll leave it in this A tier slot. But definitely a fantastic first level, and I just love it. So moving forward, Treasure Trove Cove.
Yeah, Treasure Trove Cove. I'll be honest, all of the Banjo Kazooie worlds are absolutely phenomenal.
Yes. I don't think I said this, but even if a world in Banjo Kazooie is not as good as the other worlds, it's still a great world. Like, none of the worlds are bad. None of them. It's just some are just really, really, really good. And some are just pretty good.
Absolutely. And I think, and this is just my prediction. We haven't rehearsed this. This is all us talking about it on the
off
fly.
The cuff.
Yeah. So, but my prediction is that the Banjo Kazooie worlds are probably going to be at the top tier, and the Banjo Tooie worlds are going to be more towards the bottom, and vice versa. I mean, I really think that the Kazooie worlds are just that good, but there are some Tooie worlds that are amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
If I have to choose, Banjo Tooie, I think is more of my favorite game. I'll just put that out there. But
same.
I think, but they're a lot harder and more backtracking. But that's beside the point. With Treasure Trove Cove, the music alone. Once I enter this world, or I think of this game, I immediately think of this song, and it won't get out of my head.
Absolutely.
It's a absolutely phenomenal song. Grant Kirkhope said this is one of his favorite songs that he did. And I don't think it was originally meant to be, because I interviewed Grant Kirkhope twice, and I don't think this was originally meant to be the song for it. But it's a great song, great theme track to it. The world is amazing. I remember as a kid, Snacker the shark scared the bejesus.
Oh, Snacker.
Oh my god, I always hate going into water worlds because of sharks, and it started with this game.
Absolutely.
This is where you learn how to fly. I mean, that's a big point that you have to do a lot of stuff from this world on, is flying. So that's something that you learn in the shock spring jump, and then you learn the introduction of the red feathers, and there's no Mumbo transformation like in Banjo Tooie. There's a transformation in every world, but in this one there is no transformation in this world or a couple of others. But I don't think it needs it. It really doesn't. It just goes well. I just absolutely love this world. And three of the I'll give you a spoiler alert right here. 3 of the worlds in Banjo Kazooie to me are S tier. This is one of them.
100% with you. I'm so glad we're on similar wavelengths, at least with the first part of Banjo, because Treasure Trove Cove, in my personal opinion, it's top 2, if not number 1, out of the Kazooie worlds.
Yeah.
Just personally, I love the whole beach aesthetic. That music, amazing. Somebody in my Discord today posted the beta track for Treasure Trove Cove, and it wasn't bad, but I'm so glad it got changed. So glad. The treasure, it's one of those rare instances. They had it, they revamped it, and what Grant Kirkhope did, Treasure Trove Cove, it's just happy, it's vibrant, it makes you feel like you're at the beach. I too, like when I think of Banjo Kazooie, it's often the first music that comes to my head. I play Smash Bros. Ultimate quite a bit, and it's definitely the music I play like quite often when I
Yeah.
like the menu music.
Yeah.
You just select it and just let it run. I think flying is huge. Flying is a huge thing. I am a little disappointed there's no transformation, just because I'm like, what if you turn into a crab or so? Like there's so many. You could always say that. But it just could have been cool. You get characters like, is it Pebbles? I'm trying to think it's the little cup. What is it? Leaky. Yes. And you fill him up. You fill him up with eggs, and he drains the sandcastle, and the sandcastle is where you enter cheat codes. So this level has that aspect to it.
I have to admit, when I was younger, when Leaky always said patch my holes with pebbles, I didn't know what it was talking about. I mean, it was my first playthrough, and I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I didn't know what he was talking about, pebbles. I was searching the entire world.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking his name was Pebbles. I remember him asking for Pebbles. You also learn the spring pad.
Yep.
So in addition to flying, and I love the little treasure hunt you get to do. The X marks the spot, and you just kind of. The only thing that it's my only gripe with this level. I wish you could have done something that didn't require you to land and do the beak buster on, and then you have to get another pad and get up. It just kind of like breaks up the action a little bit. Very minor, like virtually perfect level, even when you fly up. So there's multiple ways you can get up to like the top of Treasure Trove Cove, and there's a lighthouse sitting at the top. And when you do get up there, the music stops, and it becomes this ambient, ambient, just birds chirping, high up in the sky sound thing. And Banjo does that. There's one specific instance in Tooie that I remember it in. I'll just shout it out right now in case I forget to say it. Witchyworld. It's in Witchyworld when you get up high and you climb up, it does the same thing. I just think that's so cool. Rare has such a neat thing going on with transitional tracks. The music kind of rotating and transitioning flawlessly into different alternate versions or different tracks entirely within a level. So, for example, when you go into the water snacker, it changes into like a Jaws kind of sounding, like dun 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 dun. And that terrified me as a kid. I did not want to go in the water, but it does teach you to move fast in the water, Yeah. Which is it's interesting. Snackers is a legend. I've come to appreciate him as I grew up, because as a kid he definitely terrified me. And they taunt you.
About the legacy supporting character of Mr. Burper, Captain Blubber.
Captain Blubber. Oh yeah. The noises, I love it. You find his gold, the missions, everything about this level. It does. So you said like Banjo Kazooie, yes, doesn't have traditional bosses like Tooie does, but every world has something, right? And it's more mini boss than actual boss.
And this one is Nipper.
And this one is Nipper. And Nipper's great. Conga to Nipper, like, you're not lacking for bosses. People say that all the time, but you do have a boss structure. They're just not as highlighted as in Tooie. But definitely awesome. And then you beat Nipper and you can go inside of him. Like, there's just so much to explore. It's got that cool theme. It feels the most, because people that love Banjo know that it came from Dream or whatever, which was that SNES title that got converted to an N64 title that eventually transitioned into Banjo, and it was pirate themed, right? Rare has always had a thing for pirates. They still do, and some of us wish they wouldn't have as much all the time. Like, I do like Sea of Thieves, I'm not gonna lie, but like, can we have another game? Which they're working on it, but
bring Banjo back.
Bring Banjo back. Hashtag bring Banjo back in hashtag 2023E. Let's do it. But Treasure Trove Cove, S tier. Phenomenal level. Phenomenal. What else can we say? And plus, if you have Stop and Swap, if you know the deal with that, you go back and you enter the cheat codes, and this unlocks other special areas within other levels and another special area within Treasure Trove Cove. And I just think it's super cool. It's got a lot. It's got that kind of, like, I'm saying that because it adds a sort of mystique to the level. Like, it's got this, oh, that's where you go into the cheat codes. Like, that level's special, you know?
Yeah.
And Grunty does threaten you if you just start entering things that you haven't earned or things that are wrong. And it's like, she'll delete your game, which is like the craziest.
It happened. I saw that happen. I did it just to call her bluff, and I will do
it. I've never been brave enough to do it because I'm just terrified that it's actually going to happen. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear I didn't do it. So, you know what? Good on me as a kid not doing it. I would have been so devastated. I'd be like, no, I gotta do it again. And then I've proceeded to beat the game like 400 times anyways.
To the opening screen, and then you go to whatever one you were at. Like, say if you're in Banjo on the recliner playing the Game Boy, like if you go there, it'll say empty.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gone. The whole game's gone.
Devastating.
Yes.
Okay, so moving from Mumbo's Mountain. Let's see, where are we at in the Banjo Kazooie? Is this where Bubblegloop comes in?
Clankers is next.
Oh, Clankers, of course, Clankers. I'm glad you know the order.
I know every single world for both games in the order that they're playing. I promise you I will let you down on that.
Perfect, that's what I need, because I can remember every level, but for some reason, like, in my head, I can't remember the sequence of levels. And maybe that's because some I even progressed past and, like, went backwards to do. You know what I mean? Just because as a kid I was like, oh, I found a new one. Like, I'm going to go do this one right away. Which is kind of cool that you can.
I'm writing the ultimate Banjo Kazooie strategy guide. And right now I'm just doing Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. I may add in Granny's Revenge and Nuts and Bolts, but I didn't play them as much as the other ones.
Right.
So, but I'm actually writing this ultimate strategy guide where it literally has everything about the games, all the characters, all the bosses, where you get all the collectibles, all the quiz questions, all that stuff. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I've been working on it for a while now, like years. And I'm still
is amazing. That is amazing. I didn't know that. That is super cool. Can I have a quote in your book?
Absolutely. You can write the foreword.
I just wanna say, like, the stupidest, most philosophical sounding thing, and then relate it to Banjo in some way.
There you go.
Like,
I'll put it right. I'll find a place to put it. I promise you.
I would love to do that just for fun. Okay, so Clanker's Cavern. So this is the first world. I'm just putting this out there. This is the first world that I was like, not a huge fan of. Not a huge fan.
I was literally going to say the same thing. There's two worlds in this game that are below the rest and will be ranked lower than the rest, and this is one of them.
Yep.
I like the world. Don't get me wrong. I don't when I play Banjo Kazooie and I finish Treasure Trove Cove and I know the next world's Clanker's Cavern. My thoughts are, I think it's time for a
That's it. All you had to do was sigh. That's all we needed to know. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm same.
I'm ready for a break, and then I won't play probably for a week. But yeah, the world is not my favorite. I mean, Clanker is an iconic, legendary supporting character. Don't get me wrong. And as a child, when I remember me and my cousin Derek were playing Banjo Kazooie first run through, and we did everything out in the opening part of the world, and the we got into the air that pipe where you first see Clanker, and
Oh yeah, terrifying.
and then see this big mechanical shark with these jagged teeth, and I'm thinking, oh my god, what am I looking? What the hell? What's gonna happen here?
That camera sequence when you actually go in the pipe, they knew what they were doing. They made it so perfect. The second your camera adjusts and you're going down that pipe, it just shows a giant shark face, and you're like, whoa. But he's a gentle giant. He's a sweetheart.
Right. And I could always, now I can always complete the world in one fell swoop. Bad part about Nintendo 64 is you lose the notes if you die. So I always make sure, even to this day, the first notes I will get outside of the main area is at the bottom, just in case I drown. But I typically won't drown anymore. As a child, I drowned all the time. It was even trying to get the air bubbles from Gloop. And I will mention also, as I mentioned the last two times, I kind of forgot last Treasure Trove Cove, but the boss in this world is the Muty Snippets, which are mutant forms of Snippets, which is really cool. There's like 5 or 6 of them that you have to fight, which is really cool because they're more stronger than the regular Snippets. I think even with when you do the Beak Buster to slam down on them, they don't die right away. They like flip over, and then you gotta hit them again, which is pretty cool because everything I think this world starts the harder aspect of the game. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you do learn the Wonder Wing, which I believe this is the world where you start learning only one move all the way up till Gobi's Valley before you don't learn anymore. So this is the world where you learn the Wonder Wing, which is a really cool move. You get introduced to the gold feathers. You see I remember when I was younger, I was terrified of the Grilly Chompas as well. I didn't know what that hole was in the wall, and once I just walked by it, and then it just chomped at me, and I jumped. That was interesting. And then you get to go inside Clanker. You basically can become a dentist at one point.
Yeah, you can.
Like, it's really crazy with what you can do in this world. But yeah, I mean, I like it, and the music is okay, not as good as the first two worlds, like Mumbo's and Treasure, but it's okay. The thing I don't like about this world is it's dirty, which is meant to be dirty. Don't get me wrong. But it's not as colorful as Mumbo's Mountain and Treasure Trove Cove. You get dirty, ganky, disgusting, oozy, and the music kind of goes with that grimy, filthy texture of the world. Like, the music actually goes with it. Like, it's really a disgusting world, and it's meant to be that. And I really feel bad for Clanker because he's a garbage disposal that is in this disgusting, filthy water, and he's grinding up garbage for Grunty, and God knows what garbage he has.
Yes.
Following. So ultimately, this is, like I said, not my favorite, but obviously not the worst. I would have to go. I hate going this low. I'm gonna have to go C. And if you disagree, let me know why. And I could go B as well, but I think as of now, I'll go C.
Yeah. Nope, we're on the same page. I was debating in my head because I wanted to put it at C tier, but I was thinking, is it really that low? But I figured maybe once we get to more Tooie levels, we might need to adjust it a little bit, scale it a little bit. So it might go up, or it might just stay the same. I don't think it's going to go down because I'm 100%. Everything you said, 100%. I hate the dirty aesthetic as well. Well, hate's a strong word. I dislike the dirty aesthetic. People that watch my videos know I hate poo-poo garbage. Unless it's intentionally poo-poo garbage, like Great Mighty Poo. Ironically, Great Mighty Pooh is like my favorite boss ever, and that level slaps. But Clanker's Cavern is too dirty for me, you know?
Yeah.
But in the same, I think that what makes it worse is it's water, right? You have to swim in water. I think that's the main thing. And the swimming in Banjo, especially for early platformers, like it's decent. It works really well, but it's slow. And anytime a platformer makes me move slow, I'm just not a huge fan of that. And I feel like it just... Yeah.
That makes you move faster. I don't want to play as Banjo on 2 paws. I like the Talon Trot. Same with swimming, it's really slow.
Exactly. You want to find the ways to make you move as fast as possible. And another thing that I always talk about, and obviously I'm a big DK64 defender, I guess you'd say. But that game gave me my first form of what I call compulsive movement, which I could do as a character. I could press B, and then I jump, and then I press B again, which basically lets me do like a front attack, a jump, and then an aerial attack, which gives me some momentum and helps me to move fast, right? And with Banjo, it was kind of similar. B, roll, jump, A, right? And so you jump and you flutter, and I would move really fast, and then giving you an actual physical move like the Talon Trot that could make you move faster is a godsend. Because you're looking for those little things to make you move faster and faster and faster, and having that move is great. And having a level designed where you basically don't use that feels like a mistake.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, it's just not very strong. And I think Clanker as a character is pretty interesting. I like what they were going for, but it's just kind of blah in a world that's filled with all this color and super fun.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, and the music's still good. No complaints there. Wonder Wing's a cool move. I like how you're introduced and how to use it. But yeah, so I'd agree with you 100%. C tier for now. Maybe potential to move up. Probably not moving down. But C tier I think is a good spot to put it.
I just think that that you know when you get introduced to really good worlds like Treasure Trove Cove and Mumbo's Mountain, you can go up, and I think they do go up with another 2 worlds or even stay the same maybe, but it's hard to really meet Treasure Trove Cove standard. And you're down to get a bad world in between, the second world and what's left.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, this is Bubblegloop, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is where I think our opinions are probably going to diverge a little bit.
Okay.
Because my opinion on Bubblegloop is different. So I'll start this one. Because I want you to retaliate a little bit. So Bubblegloop Swamp is, again, not a bad level, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. For a similar reason, I don't like the swampy aesthetic. I just don't. What it does have going for it is the transformation is the best transformation in the game. I will say that. The little gator banjo is dope. And I like the little missions you get. He gives you something a little bit more than I think the other transformations in the game give you with the little gator game where you have to eat the little... I don't even know what they are, actually, to be honest. Yeah, okay. It's a little... The other levels I feel like I can navigate through, and it's very easy to know where I am. It's very easy to know like what section of the level I'm in. Bubblegloop is not that. Bubblegloop is, I turn right here. Where am I? Oh, I'm by the big... they put like these purposeful landmarks like the big gator head and the turtle. But navigating it all looks kind of the same. There's no, like, other than those 2 things, it's really hard to tell where you're at. They have some cool jiggies, but the whole world, even worse than swimming, there's the pits of goo or mud or whatever, and this introduced the wading boots, which is my least favorite item in the game because you go so slow. I love the music that plays. I like the idea of them. I like how you stretch out. But it's just, they're weak. They're weak sauce. That item, I could get rid of it and I wouldn't miss it, I don't think. The music is good. Again, I don't think there's a bad track in this game. But as far as where I would put Bubblegloop, And this, again, I think I am of the minority here. I would personally put Bubblegloop at C tier. Go.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to an extent on some things. Mr. Vile, probably, even to this day, playing it a billion times this game, and always beating Mr. Vile, mind you. I always am sweating when I'm fighting.
Yeah.
It's always between one Yumbly, the apples, or one Grumbly, the worms, or the thing on the screen. Like, it's always like, it doesn't matter if it's game 1, 2, or 3. It's always like 1 or 2 that he's almost at to get me, and I'm afraid. And even to this day, there are times that I still lose. I still do lose. And
it gets tough.
I have to run my butt out, because if I don't, then I'm gonna be chomped and lose 2 lives. And when he offers me the opportunity to play for 3 extra lives, I'm out.
Let me throw this in there too. So Mr. Vile, Bubblegloop Swamp, this offers probably one of the first instances of backtracking, because Mr. Vile offers you to use the turbo trainers, which you don't get until Gobi's Valley.
Correct.
So you would have to get that and come back to make that challenge easier. You can beat it. I often beat it without the turbo trainers, but it does.
I never wait till the turbo trainers.
But it does make it easier. I kind of like that it's an optional backtracking, but you have to be good, right?
And also, to add to that, in Grunty's Furnace Fun, when you hit the clock where you have to do a timed challenge, if you have to do the I believe it's the 3rd challenge of Mr. Viles in X amount of time, and you do have access to the turbo trainers in that challenge. Because you already learned them, so it's one of those things that you don't have to do it without. You could do it without, but you do have access to the turbo trainer. Actually, no, I think you do get I don't remember, but I know you do have the option to use them. I don't know if it's required for you to use them, but I know you do have the option. And going back to the bosses, this world does have a boss, the Yellow Flibbits. That to me is a boss battle, because they talk. The red Flibbits don't talk. The yellow ones do, and they have like an added bonus, like soundtrack to it, where it makes you kind of know that it's like a different type of battle. That's another thing that kind of bothers me to an extent with this world, is because I can beat them easily, and it's probably easier with the Wonder Wing. I still do the rat-a-tat-rap and the rolls and everything, but I mean, I do sometimes get close to dying from them, because they are kind of, to me, one of the harder ones to this point, one of the harder bosses that we had to fight. Another one that I hated in this world, Tip Tup's Choir. I still have to write down all 3 of them, especially the 3rd level. I have to write down, and I don't have time to write down the full colors. So if I need to memorize like for example, light blue, I put LB. Like, I have to and that I hate that one. But you do get meet Tip Tup, which you do find in. I know you're a big Donkey Kong fan, in Diddy Kong Racing, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty exciting. Music is good. I love the crocodile transformation. I really love that. And I don't know if you noticed, but when you bite somebody, you end up getting 2 honeycombs instead of 1, which is pretty cool. And you don't get hurt from the swamp like you do when you're Banjo Kazooie. Another thing I absolutely can't stand are the timed races, especially the one in Mumbo's hut, because you have 10 seconds, and I can do it, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm rushing, I'm falling off, and I'm probably going to die from the swamp.
Yep.
I was going to go with B instead of C, but I could see where C is, maybe to make it. I do think this world is better than Clanker's, so if you want to keep it at C, maybe switch it in front of Clanker's.
That sounds fair, and there we go. Yeah, I forget. So technically this left side does represent plus, and this would be more minus. So C plus, I'm good with that, because I agree. I think it is better than Clanker's. Right. Tip Tup Choir, I do love the crossover characters, and Tip Tup does make a return in Tooie as well. We need a Tip Tup game, man. I would totally get a Tip Tup game. That would be sick.
Absolutely. Also, to go back, maybe Mumbo's before Spiral.
That's what I was just about to ask. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I'm totally with you. All right.
There you
Sweet. Okay, so we're still on a similar wavelength. Just not as divert as I thought. I see a lot of people probably would put Bubblegloop in B tier. I just personally I can't give it that. I just can't I can't be pushed. I can't be pushed to B. I just feel like it's not as strong as other levels. But it's like I said, it's still not bad.
I think we're definitely gonna argue near the end of this game. This game sets a world. I can promise you that, and we'll leave that teaser there for everybody to watch. But yeah.
All right, let's see. Moving on. The next one is it Freezy Z time?
It is Freezy Peak.
Okay, Freezy Peak. Love the aesthetic. I love that we meet. Oh gosh, wow! I'm totally blanking as Boggy. I love the little family. I love getting the presents. I love the Twinklies, although I think that mission is a little silly. Like, but the Christmas tree. It's challenging. It's challenging. But I just love it's got a giant snowman. I love the little cutscene when you get on the sled, you ride down the ramp, you get launched over, you land on Boggy, and he like regurgitates the Jiggy. It's glorious. It's glorious.
But he is a deadbeat.
He is a deadbeat. Yeah, we'll get to that. He makes a return in Tooie. He's not doing much better. You'd think he'd at least learn within a game, but he does not.
And 2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years. No, he got a little fatter, actually. That's pretty much the only change. But yeah, I love the music. I love the transformation is cool. You turn into a little walrus. It's super cute. The presents. I will say that I hate the little snowmen that pop up. And then they throw the snowballs at you. And I know they're supposed to introduce the mechanic of flying and
beak bomb attack.
Yeah, beak bomb. Wow, I'm blanking tonight. I knew that. But yeah, it's just, it's fine. It's just a very precise attack on those guys. Specifically, you have to hit the little X in their hat. Yeah. And it's just it's hard. It's difficult, right? And you got to get good at it. Otherwise, because you'll want to basically take those guys out right away because they're super annoying.
Yeah, that's the first thing I typically do, and you need to master the beak bomb attack, and we'll get into it later, but in order to beat Grunty, you need to master the beak bomb attack.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. So you need to master this move, and I think it gives a good way to master it with the X's, but it's challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging, but it's, it is fun. It's a good move, especially when you want to, like, move fast in a level. Yeah. You fly up, you just across the level. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I think it's implemented better in Tooie because it's not as required, I guess. It's more of they're just like, yeah, we have it. Here you go. And I appreciate that sometimes, just simplifying it a little bit. But I think everything about this level is pretty great. I personally would put it in an A tier. I know a lot of people tend to think it's one of, if not the best level in the game. I think there's one that I liked more than this of the remaining levels for sure. I don't know. I feel like it's maybe above Mumbo's Mountain, but below Treasure Trove Cove at the very least, personally. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. So, I mean, we do disagree. I will admit this is... remember how I said I had 3 S tiers? I will flat out say it already. This is this is the second of the 3 that is S tier for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I absolutely love this world.
All right, here we go.
I am a slasher Scotty, obviously, so I am a Halloween guy. I love horror movies. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Christmas is a very, very close second, mainly because I get gifts, I give gifts, and
who doesn't love Christmas? Yeah.
Right, it's Christmas. And I love the Christmas aesthetic. And if I'm gonna be honest, and you may really hate me for this, as the worlds go on, remember I said Treasure Trove Cove, love the music, it's S tier, and I will admit, each world that we're gonna go on, I love that I say is S tier. The music is better than the last. This one I believe is better than Treasure Trove Cove. I really love it.
Whoa, yes. You think Freezy Peak is better than Treasure Trove Cove?
Music wise, absolutely. And I'll give you a teaser.
It's pretty
last
great.
World that I think is an S tier, I believe the music is better than this one and Treasure Trove Cove combined. but I'll leave it there. And that's how strongly I feel about the last S tier world that I love. But I will tell. I'm just leaving you with that teaser until I get there. But yeah, this one to me is S tier. I mean, Boggy is a deadbeat. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And as I mentioned, bosses in every world, even if they're not like Tooie, like out there in your face like Tooie, the bosses in this world to me are Sir Slush. I mean, you have 4, maybe 5 of them that you gotta X marks the spot type.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, those are the bosses in this world. And yes, they make a return later in the game. And in that world, I don't think they're bosses. But this one, I think they are a boss because they give you a Jiggy. They also give you a Witch, and an extra honeycomb piece. So
that, I mean? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is where we get into that territory of it's weird. It's like mini bosses, but not mini bosses. Yeah, these enemies are tough to kill, and there's a bunch of them. Yeah. They're definitely a higher class than your normal little goons that you see in the levels. So for sure, and they do make a return later. So I will say that.
And, and I love Waza. I think Waza is pretty funny because just afraid of the bear type of thing and loves the water. And then when you come back as Banjo, like
he's hilarious.
It was annoying me anyway, like the poor Jinjo. But the one thing I really don't like in this world, but I don't think it really takes away from it because I usually only play as the walrus. At the very, very end to collect the last bits of notes and to get like the Waza Jiggy and do the race. But I mean that's the last thing I do. I'm probably the walrus at most, maybe 5-10 minutes max. And also to mention, this world is like you mentioned, Bubblegloop Swamp being the first thing to do backtracking, but you technically don't have to backtrack if you don't want to.
Right.
But this world, you have to backtrack.
Yeah.
Because you can either go to Gobi's Valley before this one, but still not be able to complete it and have to go to Freezy Peak to learn the Beak Bomb and go back to Gobi's Valley. Or you can do this world first, which is what you're meant to do, and then you still can't complete it because you still need 1 Jiggy, and that's racing Boggy with the Turbo Trainers. Because if you don't get the Turbo Trainers, unlike with Mr. Vile, you cannot complete it because Boggy will say you're going too slow.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible. So you do need to backtrack that 100% in this world. But to me, it's S tier. So what do we do? You have A, I have S. How do we solve this?
Okay, so here's what I propose. I say we put it at S. We put it behind Treasure Trove Cove.
Okay.
When it comes to the final layout and Tooie levels, and maybe even later levels, with the chance to move it down a peg or up a peg, I guess. We'll take a relook, we'll take a little jiggy look back, if you will.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea because, as I mentioned, I have 3 of them that are S tier, and in the right order, Treasure Trove Cove and Freezy Peak, those are the order I mentioned them because those are the order the worlds come out. So I think that's a good idea, and then we can decide: does it go before Treasure Trove or does it go, before Mumbo's but after Treasure Trove or anything else that might come after that?
I think it's a very common thing that people think Freezy Peak is the best level, if not one of the best levels in Banjo Kazooie.
I will admit I like one world in Banjo Kazooie better than Freezy Peak and Treasure Trove Cove actually combined.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm very passionate about it, and I mean a lot of people might think that it's an overrated world or whatever, but I think that I'm very passionate about that world. Yeah.
Okay, well that's really cool. I guess we'll find out which one that is. Okay, so moving along into the next level, which is Gobi's
Valley.
Gobi's Valley officially. So you start off this one, Gobi's Valley.
All right. I like Gobi's Valley. Definitely not to me as S tier, so I will admit this isn't the passionate one. But I do like the music. Actually, when I first got my iPhone 11 for the was it 2 or 3 years ago, my very first ringtone I bought was Gobi's Valley for my phone.
Nice.
But then it was really loud and just annoyed me, and I had to change it. Right now I have Grunty's Lair.
Nice.
But yeah, I do like Gobi's Valley. I like the world. Out of all the supporting characters that are legacies, like a Boggy or a Captain Blubber, or even like Clanker and all that, one that is probably the most remembered and loved is Gobi. I mean, first of all, world namesake of this world. You see him again later in this game, and then he kind of is annoyed as all heck over you and wants to go to the lava world, and we'll get into that in a little bit on where he ends up and how he gets to the lava world and all that stuff later. But yeah, Gobi you see not just in 2 games. Like with Boggy, you see him, once in Banjo Tooie, but Gobi you see him more than once in Banjo Tooie, and you see him more than once in Banjo Kazooie in multiple worlds. So Gobi is to me an iconic Banjo character. And then of course you have Trunker. You have those damn sand. I don't know if I can curse, but those damn sand eels. Oh my god, those eels are kind of. Yeah, I don't. That's one thing I don't like about this game thing. You do learn the turbo trainers, and also this is the last world in the game you learn a move. So remember that as well, and then you do have to go back to Freezy Peak to complete that when you learn them. The things that I don't like of this world. First, let me mention the boss. This one to me, it's the mini boss. It's not really a boss, but I always have to find a boss in this game, and to me, I think Grabba, not Slappa, but Grabba, where you get the turbo trainers and you have to run and then into his hand to get the Jiggy.
Yep.
To me, he's like that mini boss, so to speak. That's just what I think. But what I don't like about there's a lot of mini games. Now, the ones I don't like, I mean, the racing with the turbo trainers, that one I barely make it if I do, and sometimes I do.
It's
still
a tough
miss.
One. It's a
tough one. Yeah, you don't have a lot of time, and I literally have to jump in the shoes and like kind of glide on the sand in order to actually make it in, and I can't get all the notes or I won't make it. That's tough. The matching game, I'm not much of a memorizer. I have a bad memory. Except for these games, but I played them so long. Even doing the matching game, I played them so long. But I have a bad memory, but I've kind of got it nailed down. But I still don't remember where they all are up to par. Like
right.
I'm not a match game kind of person. So that's kind of difficult. Those are the only 2 things that I think are really that hard. I mean, and the King Sandy Butt Tomb. And if you, I'm able to complete that easily now, but for a newcomer, just letting you know, if you haven't played this game and you want to go and do this maze, and you run out of time and don't complete it, you will die. Immediately death. And if you don't get all the notes, good luck getting them again.
Yeah.
If you're playing on N64, not Xbox. But you because it's an immediate death. The spiky wall, the ceiling or whatever, just crushes you and you're dead. To me, like I said, I think this is an okay world. I do love the song, but it is not S level, I'll give you that. And I'm thinking B is looking a little lonely, so I think I'll give it a B, above Bubblegloop Swamp, maybe below Spiral Mountain, so I would say B.
Again, I'm with you. That is where I was going to put it. I was going to place Gobi's Valley right in B tier. For every reason you said, I will just say I do love the track. The track is phenomenal. I do love the aesthetic overall, but there's a couple instances of, like, you go into the tomb, it's kind of empty, you have to ride magic carpets up, and the magic carpets are pretty slow. And there's points where you have to ride the magic carpet, like, outside too, and it's just, it's fine, it's not bad. There's elements of it that I really enjoy. The hands popping out of the ground, kind of cool, but also can be kind of irritating. You're like, it popped out again. Yeah, the matching mini game, it's fine. I never struggled with it, but it's definitely like, I think the thing that's most annoying about it is you have that little guy just chasing after you the whole time, and you're like, I just want to do the freaking thing. Stop attacking me, because he's not, like, he doesn't prevent you from winning. He's just annoying. It's like, don't put him in there. Like, he does nothing for me.
Yeah. I also, with the magic carpets, I don't know if it's a glitch in the game. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. But the carpets disappear and you go into this, like, you don't go on it. And then you try to jump out before it actually goes, and you can't jump out.
Oh, I don't. That must be a glitch. I don't know.
Yeah, at least that's in my cartridge. I don't know if it's on everybody's, but it is in mine.
I can't say I remember that happening, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But they do put a big section of this level, which I hate for the same reason as Bubblegloop, of the sand that's hot, and you have to use the the wading boots to get in there and walk around and grab a couple stray notes and maybe a life trophy or whatever. But overall, it's a good level. It's a solid level. It's got a lot of cool ideas. The aesthetic is really sweet. Gobi's totally memorable. And yeah, B tier. I think that's where it sits. I'm in agreement with that. I don't think it's as strong as other levels, but I definitely think it's stronger than the ones below it. So I'm good with that. So next one, Mad Monster.
And Monster Mansion.
Is this the one?
No.
Whoa. Okay, so that was my theory. Mad Monster Mansion was the one because I love Mad Monster Mansion.
And you would think so because I'm Slasher Scotty, but no, surprisingly, that's the twist. I knew you were thinking it was Mad Monster, and it's not.
Wow, yeah, I am shocked.
I will say though, this one is above Mumbo. I'll give that right away. Above Mumbo A. It is an S, but it is above Mumbo A is what I go with it. It is definitely a strong world. I love the spooky haunted mansion. And I will mention boss. It's more of a mini boss. You don't fight anybody, but my version of the mini boss in this world is Napper. Just because I think, to me, the first thing I saw when I first played this game was going into the mansion through the door, waking him up, and that was the first thing I saw was Napper, so that resonated as mini boss. Even though you don't fight him, it's just mini boss. You have to sneak, go down the chimney, go on the big, the chairs, and then go on the table and sneak into them and get the Jiggy. You have the sandcastle game again, minus the sandcastle, except you're with Tumbler and you're in the spooky shed and you're spilling out Banjo Kazooie again on the tiles, but this time you have an added challenge, whereas the first time you can kill the black snippet, this time you can just use the Wonder Wing, I believe, to kill the purple ghost, but you do have a purple ghost to kind of worry about. That's interesting. Mode Sand isn't really much of a challenge to me. It goes very slow that it's easy to do.
Right.
The pumpkin transformation is pretty cool. Mumbo actually cracks me up every time he says it makes good soup. I love that. One thing when I first started playing this as a kid, one thing I always forgot to do that you can't forget, or you kind of have to go backtrack back as the pumpkin, but you have to knock the gate outside of the world in order to raise the levels to go into the next world, Rusty Bucket Bay. But you have to be the pumpkin to go into that little, I guess, house or whatever, but if you go to do that and you don't remove the gate, then you're kind of stuck, because you have to go back to be Banjo, knock it out, go back to be the pumpkin, go in.
Yes.
It's
I think you're totally right with everything, and the pumpkin transformation is legendary. It's one of the best transformations in the game, like maybe top 3. I would say I like the Gator a little bit more. But I also, the bee from Click Clack Wood as well, just spoiler for that. But it's so cool how they utilize it in a way to get into all the little nooks and crannies and the pipes and stuff, and you kind of slide down. And I love that so much. And going into like the basically Grunty's like toilet inside like the waste disposal, like her sewer or whatever, and you go in and it's like it makes all the like nasty like squishy noises and stuff.
Yes.
And you can flush down the toilet.
Her remark about that, about washing your hands, you smelly bear or something, that's so funny. That cracks me up too.
It's amazing. I love the vibe of the level is great. And the ghosts in there, that they're just reskins of the ones from Mumbo's Mountain, which I didn't know. I never really noticed because they look so different, but they're just green versions that float at you, basically. And the maze, the hedge maze, you've got the wine cellar in the bottom. That whole like front Mad Monster Mansion itself, you can go in, you can hit all the different windows and kind of break in different places, and every part of it leads to a different part of this place. And there's a lot of like mystery as a kid, I would say, that I had from it. Because I break in, there'd be like a giant treasure chest. You're like, what's in the giant treasure chest? You can't get in. There's a wine cellar. You can break some of the barrels open, but then it's like, some of them don't open. Is there something behind those? And lo and behold, there was intended to be. And you can access it, stop and swap, which is awesome. It's like your intuition was correct they intended to have that. And, you know, the church is cool and same deal. There's like a secret back window that has nothing in it, by the way. But it is cool that it exists.
Yeah.
But there's...
Those still scare the crap out of me, by the way. Even to this day, they still scare me.
Yeah, right. And the potted plants, the legendary Grant Kirkhope saying thank you. Okay, he's saying thank you. They say thank you. They don't say anything else. I know it's a thing. You can look at Slasher Scotty's interview here with Grant Kirkhope. He confirms, yes, he says thank you. He pitches it down, and it's thank you. But it does sound like a naughty word, okay? But this is an E for everyone. E for everyone game. What did you expect? But it is kind of funny that it does sound like that. Like, whoever pointed that out in the first place, that's pretty funny. But I do love Mad Monster Mansion. I think it's a great level. I am, put it at the top A tier. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I could be swayed putting Mumbo's Mountain in front of it, but I think just averaging out, I think it's good where it's at. So I'd leave it there. But I think if I were to replay the game, the only reason why I'd put Mumbo's is because I like the speed of it better.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. We're right. This is the definitive list, and it's not just my opinion. This is the opinion of two people who love Banjo Kazooie. So we gotta compromise a little bit here. We gotta twist and pull a little bit. And I'm just waiting for that one level that's gonna surprise me. And I'm really hoping that it's not the next one, Rusty Bucket Bay.
It is Rusty Bucket Bay.
Are you kidding me?
I'm joking.
Okay. Oh, my heart. I'm like, I was like, we're running out of levels here for Kazooie. And if it's Rusty Bucket Bay, I have no idea what you're going to say to defend that. Because
honestly,
I'm going to put Rusty Bucket Bay down here.
Honestly, I'm saying you're too generous. I mean, I'm not a Rusty Bucket Bay fan. Between this one and Clankers are my two worst favorite in the game. Rusty Bucket Bay probably less than Clankers. The only thing I like Rusty Bucket Bay more than Clankers is the music. I actually like the music of Rusty better than Clankers. To me, I don't like. It took me a while to memorize the mini game of the horns or whatever. Now I remember. I think it's 3-2-1-1-1-1 or something like that, or 3-1-2-1-1-1 or something like that. But yeah, the boss boombox, which is actually probably the second boss fight outside of Nipper.
Official, big scale, like feels more. Right. And you definitely want to have as many eggs as possible at that point.
Yes, I always use the Wonder Wing. I make sure I'm full on gold feathers, and I can beat him with the Wonder Wing completely. I always go to the engine room first because I do not want to lose those notes that I get, and I do lose the notes quite frequently because I always die. And I don't die going to the Jiggy. Once I'm out of the engine room, I'm fine. It's going past the spinning blades that gets me all the time.
Yeah.
To this day, the spinning blades kill me. The water doesn't kill me, even though it really doubles your life energy loss, but that killed me. And then, of course, you have Snacker's Return. And then, of course, that fish chump makes a return from the actual hub world. You have that. But ultimately, it's a memorable world for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's really low tier.
I would be okay with end of C or D. I'll leave you to choose the ultimate fate for Rusty.
My instinct was to put it down at C, but now that I'm really thinking about it, I'm gonna drop it to D, because D is the lowest we can go. I still don't think it's horrible, but there are aspects of it that really bring it down for me. In my opinion, this is the worst level for note collecting.
Yeah.
Because people can argue that maybe something like Click Clock Wood would be hard for note collecting because it's a lot of verticality and getting up and looking and easy to miss stuff. But I think Rusty Bucket Bay has so many secret nook and crannies, which I do appreciate. I do like the nooks and crannies. I do like breaking through windows and finding little engineer rooms and things like that, and the little poster of Barry from Conquer and Conquer himself. I love seeing those kinds of things. I think it's really cool. I think the ship itself is cool. I think everything else around it should have died. I think you should have just made the ship bigger. The engine room is a nightmare. I've never been a fan of that. Even though I can do the platforming, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, and if anything about around the ship, if you want to keep all of that, at least lose the double air life gone type thing.
Yeah.
Make it a Cavern version where you could go under and you lose air bubbles because obviously you can't breathe underwater. You didn't learn sunshine yet, or oxygenate or whatever. But yeah,
this is one level I think would have really benefited from a transformation, and it doesn't have a transformation.
Yeah, like that you can tolerate the water and the muck.
Yes.
Maybe like a mini ship.
Yes, a mini ship or the submarine or
Rusty bucket.
A mini rusty bucket. Yeah.
Rusty Bucket Junior.
You could just think of you could be a little ship and it drops like a little net or something, and you could scoop things out of the water. Something creative like that. I'm not saying
that's underneath that thing with a little net.
Yes, like it would have been great. I just feel like they really require you to get into that water, but then they also just make it needlessly challenging. It didn't have to be what it was, and like I said, collecting notes is a nightmare because it's very easy to miss 1 or 2. Yeah. I think I consistently get to this level like to 94 notes. Specifically that it's either 94 or 96, and there's just a couple stragglers. Every time I'm like, where are these? And
this is where Xbox comes in handy.
Yeah. They did fix that in the Xbox versions, but I'm a proponent of playing the original game on the 64 hardware just because there's something special about having that controller. Right. But yeah, Rusty Bucket Bay, easily the worst level in Banjo Kazooie, and I'm so glad that wasn't your top tier level because I was ready to be like, I can't justify putting it, because if you put it as a top tier and I put it at the bottom tier, we'd have to put it in the middle just by by averaging it out. And I'm like, it's not even close to Gobi's Valley in my mind, let alone Mumbo's or Spiral Mountain or anything like that. So I'm good with putting that at the bottom. Let's move on to the next one, which is Click Clock Wood. Now, this has got to be it, right?
Or do you think it's the hub world?
I don't know.
Yeah, you forgot we didn't do Grunties, didn't you?
I did forget. I thought I was going in with this as totally the best.
This is the best.
This is the best?
This is the best. This world was my ringtone. I did change it to Grunty's Lair, because I love Grunty's Lair song, but I love Click Clock Wood song more. This was my text tone for the longest time. I just changed it just because I needed something new. Like, when you hear something over and over again, it kind of becomes like, okay, well, I heard that too many times, so I'm going to change it. So I changed it to Grunty's Lair for Halloween last year, and I just never changed it back. Click Clock Wood, absolute favorite. I know a lot of people say this world is either mostly overrated. Like, they think that a lot of people either like it when it shouldn't be liked, mainly because it's the same world, just different seasons. That's what I love about it. I love the seasons. I love going up the tree. I love seeing Mumbo transforming you into the bee in the spring, and I love him being too hot in the summer, and I love him, sweeping leaves in the fall, and I love him not even being there in the winter. And I love the Zuba battle. I could beat him easily with the Wonder Wing. I love that boss battle in the summer, and then I love you can go into the beehive in the spring. And the spring has, you're just talking to them as the bee. And then in the fall, they kind of all moved out. And then the winter, the hive is dead. Mm-hmm. Of course, you see Gobi again. And then he basically says, I had enough of you. I'm going to the lava world at this point. And you see the various stages of blooming the flower. You birth it in spring, and then you water it in the summer and the fall, and then it's dead in the winter. And then, of course, you have the Sir Slush moment in the winter.
The return.
You have, yeah, exactly. And you have the Grublin Hoods, which are basically the Grublins from Mumbo's Mountain and the Seaman Grublins of Rusty Bucket Bay. The ahoy!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like Robin Hood. You have that. And then of course you have Erie or whatever. You know help him out, and same thing with Nabnuts. You help him out, and Naughty, you help him out. Like you help him out various. The only thing I don't like of this world is getting the final extra honeycomb piece in the winter, because you have to go in the ice hole, and just like Rusty Bucket Bay, it takes double air. I
Yeah.
never die in it. But coming back, I get close sometimes because sometimes I can't mechanic the swimming to actually get in the small little ice hole to get out. But other than that, that's the only downside of it. But yeah, this to me is S tier, and I mean we can argue about where you want to put it. I mean I'm open to where to put it, but if it was up to me, it would be S tier before Treasure Trove Cove.
Okay, I'm gonna put it up there for now.
Okay.
Oops. I'm gonna put it right there at the top. So that's your ranking of it. So I'm not the opposite. I think it's a fantastic level. I actually often love verticality in these platformers. Like one of my favorite levels from Donkey Kong 64 is Frantic Factory, which is very vertical, very climbing, exploring. I think that's great. I think Click Clock Wood has a great concept. I love the changing of seasons as well. I love the characters you're introduced to. Nabnut's hilarious and naughty. The interactions with Mumbo, I agree with you. I love that so much. I think where it's the difficulty curve here, we're kind of at the peak, right?
Yeah.
So at the peak of the difficulty curve, and navigating this is a challenge. You know, it's not for the faint of heart, and you can do it. You have to be patient. I'm not good at being patient. Okay? They do give the option to fly. Not every level. Or not every season, I should say. You can be the bee and you can fly. Sometimes you can get the feather pads, but other times they won't let you fly around. I don't know. I would say it's pretty high. If I was ranking it, I probably realistically would have put it below Mumbo's Mountain, maybe. That's where I personally, so I would have put it right about here. But but at the same time, that was my knee-jerk reaction to Click Clock Wood. And then as I heard you describing things, I was thinking, wow, I remember so much about this level. It's very memorable. I love the Gobies, like, watering the plant. That was really cool. And you go to different seasons to get at different stages. I loved Erie getting different stages of life for this little bird, and it would just grow up, and you feed it worms, and that was, or caterpillars, whatever they are. So much fun. I think the only thing that makes it difficult is just the difficulty curve of the platforming on here, because, and every season is slightly different. You know, some seasons are easier to navigate than others because leaves aren't budding, the clubhouse isn't finished, things like that. And getting the notes, specifically, this came to my head, getting the notes that sit at the top of the clubhouse, the treehouse, getting those notes is difficult. You have to fly precisely to get them. And anytime the game requires you to fly precisely, it is kind of difficult. You have to aim it. I think it's a great level, though. I have not many complaints. I think it is one of the best songs in the game, for sure. So I think if I were to compromise with your score, I'd be willing to do maybe this.
Okay, I can go for that. So, I was thinking either that or A before Mad Monster Mansion, since I said S and you said A, so it would kind of be like the tweaker in betweener type of thing.
I think either way, we're looking at either bottom S or top A, and I think we can put it at bottom S for now because we still have to go through Tooie.
Yeah, when we go into Banjo Tooie, if there's something that is either better than Click Clock Wood, it could probably either go before Click Clock Wood or move Click Clock Wood down to A top.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So moving on, we are looking at this tier list. I realized I didn't actually put Furnace Fun or the quiz game from Banjo Kazooie or Tooie, even though technically they could be levels. So I was kind of incorporating that. Furnace Fun can kind of be incorporated into Grunty's Lair as long as the boss fight.
Yeah, and then Tower of Tragedy could be Cauldron Keep.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, and I'm sure that's what I was thinking when I made it, because I was looking for Furnace Fun, and I was like, well, technically it is just part of this level. So Grunty's Lair, overall, let's start with that music. Music's a banger. Absolutely super memorable track. I love when you first walk in, you see the big picture of Grunty. It's really cool. It's really awesome how they interconnected everything, and the layer changes within as you keep going. Like you go to Mad Monster Mansion and you go through a little cemetery area. You go to Freezy Peak and there's like snow coming out of it and it's kind of highlighted that way. You go to Gobi's Valley and there's like a little desert area. Like it's such a vast, filled with themes. It's a great, it goes beyond a hub world, you know, and that's all it is. It's a hub world, but it's very well thought out. It's very, very nice. They even had it just blows my mind at all the things they did right on like a first platformer. Really, like a 3D platformer. They were like, oh, this takes a while to navigate through this layer. People are going to want shortcuts. They give you the little cauldrons to teleport.
Yep.
Fast travel. They thought of fast travel on their first go around, which I think is huge because Mario 64 did not have fast travel. I don't know who was this the first instance of that in a 3D space?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but fast travel is huge. Like now we can't survive without fast travel. Games are just so ginormous,
and just to go ahead a little bit, they even improved on it in Banjo Tooie, which is even better.
It's crazy. I think they did a lot of things right, and Grunty's Lair is iconic. Every area is distinct. You can think of it. I have a hard time putting it above really well thought out designed levels because it's not like a level per se in a traditional sense. There are jiggies to collect, and oftentimes it requires you to go into the level, hit the witch switch like you said at the beginning, and that unlocks a method of getting a jiggy in the lair. And so you have to collect and progress. It does have a progression, it does have a build up, and it does culminate in the final boss fight with Gruntilda. I think it's a phenomenal hub level, if you will. And if I had to rate it, I would definitely put it above Spyro Mountain. I think I'd probably put it maybe here.
Okay.
In A tier, because I think it's worth it. I think it's great. It's iconic.
Yeah, I remember the witch's laugh. That part's not on my ringtone, but I remember as a kid playing it. I always was terrified, thinking she's gonna come out and kill me at one point or another. You know.
Oh, I had the same thought. And when Grunty would randomly pop up and just talk to you, that scared me.
Yeah, same.
That scared me.
And of course, you get to meet iconic characters like Cheeto and of course the long lost forgotten sister Gruntilda. Those are great. Alone, I think this world deserves at least A tier just because of Grunty's Furnace Fun. There's two worlds in this game that I play on the N64. Or if you want to call them worlds, but that I could die and lose everything and have to start over, and I would not be mad. And that's Click Clock Wood and Grunty's Lair. I mean, Grunty's Furnace Fun. Like, I love doing the Grunty's Furnace Fun, and I'm having so much fun writing in my book, because that's where I'm at kind of now, in doing all the questions from every single question that's in Grunty's Furnace Fun, and which ones are the right and wrong answers. That is absolutely fun for me to
That is so in-depth. More power to you.
Yeah, it is so cool. I love it, and I love like explaining all the tiles and everything like that. It's just so much fun. But yeah, I do think it deserves A level. But I would probably say move it up one more in front of Mumbo's, just because Grunty's Lair I think is just so good. I mean, Mad Monster Mansion is just a great mechanical world, like just the way it's laid out. And it is an actual world compared to Grunty's Lair, which is a hub world. So I would say probably Mad Monster before Grunty's. But yeah, I think definitely in between Mumbo's and...
Yeah, I can go for that. I think it's really cool. And there's just so much about it, and you have to progress. It even uses your moveset. You can't get past the first area of the lair until you played Mumbo's Mountain and get the Talon Trot.
Yeah. And
you have to collect notes. Notes being a safeguard to a level is a really cool concept, I think. Let's be realistic, the only flaw with Banjo Kazooie is the note system. As far as going in, you have to collect all of them in one go around. You can't collect 60, leave the level, and then you come back and you only have to collect 40 more. You have to collect 100 every time. Right. So it's awful as far as trying to complete the game 100%. Unless you're really good and, play it, which all of us did. They're small enough that it's not a make or break thing. But if this were bigger like Tooie and that was a thing, it would have been a problem. for
Right.
sure.
I now I can complete the entire game, 100% it, without having to go back and losing everything. Rusty Bucket Bay might be the only thing that I lose notes in, but that's only like a couple of notes because
Yeah.
that's the first thing I always do is the engine room. But I can always 100% complete it now. But when you're a new player, it's probably complicated to 100% it because of certain aspects and losing it, especially on the N64. Xbox, it fixes the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I will say about the Xbox version. It does fix that. So kudos to them for that. But there you go. That is the definitive Banjo Kazooie level tier list. So that's the first game. That is where we rank all the levels from the first game. So if you had nothing to go by, see what you think of that. But we can't just stop there. We gotta move on to Tooie because Tooie, same console, basically everything Kazooie was, but bigger. Not always better, but bigger. There's certainly a lot more. So we got to start from the very beginning again. An old favorite, Spiral Mountain.
Yeah.
So
Spiral Mountain is, like I said, it's a great starting point, but in this one, I think it's not as good as Kazooie. Mainly because in Kazooie it was a very good starting point, but it was the first game. Whereas in this one, you know all the moves, like you have all the molehills and everything, and they teach you what you need to do and everything. The part that traumatized me as a kid was poor Bottles died, and you get to see his spirit.
his corpse sits there the whole game.
Just sits there, and you have the spirit up there, and then if you talk to him too many times, he turns into a devil.
Yeah. So the thing that it depressed me a little bit about Tooie, especially with not getting a proper 3E. I don't count Nuts and Bolts as a 3E. I count it as a spin-off. I will say that. I don't dislike it. I just think it's a spin-off. It's not the official 3E, right? But it's destroyed. Spiral Mountain's destroyed. Everything I loved about it in the first game is gone. And it's not to say it isn't well thought out, and I love the fact that you go look over and you can see Gruntilda's body hole where she slammed into the ground. That's great. I think going into the lair, seeing Cheeto, I think that's super cool. It's kind of sad you can't explore a little bit more of the lair, but the game's so massive, so I don't know how they could have fit that in there anyways. The music, it's the Spiral Mountain theme, but it's sad. And it sets the tone for the next game as sad. You know, it's a lot darker than Kazooie ever was. And it's not a bad thing, it's just taking a serious note, and I feel Kazooie was very lighthearted and silly, and Tooie still has that, but it definitely, they wanted to take a different direction. They wanted to do something slightly different, and I respect that, and I think it's great, but I think Spiral Mountain suffered for it. I think they destroyed something beautiful that they created, and whether or not that comes back in some way, shape, or form in the future, you know, TBD, but I just think, man, I'm so happy when I saw Spiral Mountain in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the HD glory, and it's just 2Ds running around, everything's happy. There's something special about that original thing that I don't think Tooie captured in any way, and it's fine. It is what it is. It's just a different game.
Yeah. I like Spiral Mountain. You do go. It's not like it's like in Banjo Kazooie where you never really return to it after you finish the hub, like the opening part. You do go back to get the Jinjo after you learn how to do the Talon Torpedo. You go back after you learn the Bill Drill to rescue the goldfish, and then learn how to swim a little faster and get extra air bubbles. You do that. You also get the Banjo Kazooie cartridge for the infamous stop and swap. You can do all that. There's different things you can do without, that you do. Obviously, you got to return to the lair to give Cheeto the pages. I really wish that you could go and explore the entire lair as 2 years have passed. So I would love to have went through the entire lair as like an option just to see how it did change over the course of 2 years, because obviously you can see the beginning part, the picture's got a big hole in it, the Mumbo's mountain area has rocks covering it and all that stuff. So like I would love to actually be able to do everything you could possibly do in Banjo-Kazooie except not enter the worlds, but I would love to see how it morphed over 2 years.
You want to see her little areas like all destroyed and dusty and not kept up,
Right.
you know,
And this
like
world of bottles would it would have been so much cooler because we don't know where Brentilda is. We don't even know if she exists. So it would have been cool maybe if we could explore the world and we could find, Brentilda's body or like a note that says in memory of Brentilda Winky Bunyan, killed by Klungo or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just
yeah.
something like that let you know where she is because she's an afterthought. Like you don't even know like just like she didn't even exist now.
Or hear me out. She's in the treasure trove area, and she has little suitcases, and she says, "I'm starting up my new home in Treasure Trove Cove. I love the beach," or whatever. She's that song, like something rare-esque that she could have done.
Or you can even make it Wizard of Oz type of thing, and like have her underneath, like her feet coming out of the Treasure Trove Cove, like treasure chest, like the house that falls on the
That's
witch
funny.
in the Wizard of Oz.
I like that
Like
option
something
better.
like that, like just so kind of know her fate, but you don't.
Yeah.
You have two new places that you don't even that never were even mentioned in the first game because they weren't thought of then. But ultimately for this, I would say probably D above Bubblegloop Swamp, just because you don't really do much and it's been totally destroyed.
C, you mean? Yeah.
D. Yes. C. Sorry, my eyes. Oh my god.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I was just confirming. Yeah, I'm good with that. Moving forward, Spyro Mountain. Again, we have the Isle o' Hags, which is similar to Gruntilda's Lair. This functions as the hub of the game, so I'd like to cover that last. But moving into the first level, which would be Mayahem Temple.
Yeah.
And Mayahem Temple, I'm just going to tell you right now, I love Mayahem Temple. It's so many mechanics. So many mechanics you learn. It throws at you. This level does not feel stale at all because there's so many different things going on. There's so many different areas to explore, and it shows the first interconnectivity of the levels, which is what I love about Tooie. You can go in and you have to recover the treasure, and it's stolen by cavemen in Terrydactyland. So you can actually get to a portion of Terrydactyland at the beginning of the game, and Terrydactyland is way later in the game, almost toward the end. Like, definitely second half, if not, like, third quarter of the game. And
you can also learn Hatch. Not right away, but you can learn Hatch in this world by going into that part of Terrydactyland before entering Terrydactyland. And then you can complete Tip Top's section of Jolly Roger's Lagoon.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool how well thought out that is. The missions I love. You get introduced to Mumbo is actually a playable character now. He's not just transforming you. In fact, that role has been totally transferred to Humbawamba, and it's kind of I think it's for the best. I think I like the pool personally better than standing in a switch. I think the pool is a fun way to transform because there's something about getting in quick and diving and then you transform really fast that's really fun. And even being as Mumbo and coming up and having banter with her and hopping in the pool, and she says, "Get out of my pool!" Like, my magic don't work on you or whatever. Mumbo, as a playable character, he's pretty basic. He's got his wand that he can electrocute enemies with, zap them. But his power is using magic in unique ways. So you find Mumbo pads, and you can summon things or change things, adjust things using your magic. And in this world, you summon a giant golden statue, and you can walk around the level and destroy stuff. And in fact, you have to destroy a door to be able to enter it as Banjo, and I think that's super cool. I think the moveset that Banjo learns here, let's see, you've got a first-person mode, so you've got like essentially a GoldenEye first-person gameplay that you have where you have to shoot. It's very bare bones version of it, but it is funny that it's a thing, and it works pretty well. And that's actually the boss fight. So you introduce the first boss, Target-san. And I think the music in here is iconic. Yeah. I can think of it off the top of my head. It's just so memorable. There are mechanics that just are in these levels for Tooie that weren't in Banjo, like the fast travel within the levels themselves. Because the levels are basically, I don't know, double, triple the size consistently, at least, of what Kazooie had.
Yep.
And they're so well thought out. It's amazing, and you don't have to collect. There are notes. You don't have to collect them like you did in Kazooie. It's not required, but it's great. It's a great level.
So with Mayahem Temple, I think that it's really good. I don't like when the Moggies come out at you when you do that third-person shooter, because that always terrifies me when they come at you and just hit you out of nowhere. And then Targetson, I always die at all the time. I can beat him now, but there's a couple of times I die in between. So it's just like you have to like be really quick to hit the targets, and then usually you get one or whatever on that is at the very last part that and he's shooting those darts at you, and it's just I always like, oh my god, he's gonna kill me or whatever. But yeah, the music is great. You get to turn into a Stony, which isn't the best transformation, but overall a very fair world, definitely upper than Mumbo's Mountain. I would probably say A tier, probably just because of the interconnectivity and using Mumbo's transformations and everything. I would say above Mumbo's Mountain, after Grunty's Lair. What do you think?
Yep. That's all I'm going to say. Yep. 100%. That's where I was going to put it. I think it's stronger than Mumbo's Mountain as a first level because we already know the basics, and it just gives us it's the first level really, and it just throws everything at you. It's like what? And it's just loaded with so much stuff. It keeps you entertained, and you just want to keep exploring, and you keep finding new things, and it's crazy. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I think it's a great level, and I think that's a perfect spot. Definitely A tier.
Awesome.
So we'll set it there. Following Mayahem Temple, I believe it's Glitter Gulch Mine.
Correct.
And this is one that I personally don't really care for. I really enjoy the aesthetic. I think the music is great. I think the enemies are funny, like yeehaw, and they come at you. I think this is the level, the first level that I played in Tooie, where it suffers from an effect I've noticed within Tooie and kind of platformers in general when they're very, very large scale. It's that it's a big world, but not very dense. There's not a lot to do. You'll find yourself exploring and trying to find things, but it's not packed to the brim. Like, whereas Kazooie's levels were very condensed and very dense. Like, you could turn anywhere, and there was nooks and crannies, and there was stuff in those nooks and crannies. Whereas Glitter Gulch, it's big open area and one or two things there, you know? And and plus this introduces us to just an abomination, Canary Mary. She's, anybody who watches my channel knows, she's evil. She is
the worst, my arch enemy.
Everyone's arch enemy that plays Banjo Tooie, that loves Banjo Tooie. They will consistently, you'll hear the cries. Oh, Canary Mary, the worst. It's really funny. There's actually, join my Discord community. I'll just shout it out now. Join my Discord community and come in and chat. We have a bunch of emotes, and there's an emote that we just call evil in all caps, and it's a picture of Canary Mary. So it is, that's how we feel about it, and I think it's justified. Glitter Gulch, the transformation, although creative, it is horrible because you hurt yourself when you attack, and it requires you to attack. I just can't get behind much in this level besides the aesthetic and the music. It's just not for me. It's definitely one of those levels that I'm like, I want to get in and get out. You know, what are your thoughts on it?
I agree. I do like the world, don't get me wrong. It's definitely not the worst in this game. To me, it is close to the worst, but it's not the worst. Mumbo teaches you levitate, which is, I think it's levitate, but that's an okay little transformation, little whatever he does. But, Detonator isn't my favorite. And Canary Mary, this is where he introduces you to the absolute, worst thing. But I love Kazooie's banter. She's like, she mentions about getting the Cheeto page. She's going to get it from her. And Kazooie's like, we don't want to know that.
Yeah.
The absolute worst thing, again, the 3D the 3D shooter type thing, the shooter thing. This one you don't shoot, you peck. But
this one's worse.
It's worse than the first than Mayahem because it takes me a million times even to this day to get that correct. I always miss one or two before I have to do it over again, and it drives me insane. It's just absolute horrible. I do like Chuffy the Train. I do love the introduction to that. That is pretty cool. I don't really care for the boss battle per se. It's a very simple, ridiculously easy boss battle. But ultimately, not my favorite. If I have to choose, I'd probably say definitely C. I would say latter half of C for me. I would say maybe after Bubblegloop Swamp, before Clankers. What do you think?
I actually was gonna put it below Clankers personally.
I can go for that. I can go for that.
I was gonna put it right about here because it's just really not for me. And if I'm wrong, is this Old King Cole? Is this?
Yes, Old King Cole.
I will say that actually that Old King Cole's boss fight I do enjoy.
I do enjoy it as well. It's simple. It's definitely easier than targets in the game.
It's funny and his body parts fall off. I don't think the train is a great method of travel. Right. I think it's a little redundant. It's mostly will use it for either getting into specific areas you couldn't before later in the game, or to transport like other characters and things. It just feels a little unnecessary. Could have lived without it, but I do like Old King Cole. I think that's a great boss fight. It's just fun. It's easy, but it's fun, and I think he's a really interesting character. But he's the only reason why really I wouldn't put this in D tier, because in some ways I feel like this level is worse than Rusty Bucket Bay, but it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, I would go either C or D. I mean, I think it's fine where it's at. We may decide to move it because I think at the end we should do an overall, like, we're satisfied, or maybe we could move something here or there or anywhere.
Oh, we're definitely doing that. But I think that's it. It shall sit there for now, and we'll see where it's at. So moving on from Glitter Gulch Mine, let me navigate this in my head. Is the next one Witchyworld?
Witchyworld, yes.
Witchyworld. I love this world.
Yeah.
This one.
I will admit there are two. Let me look at them. Yeah, two worlds in this one, in this game, that are S tier for me. Witchyworld, I will admit, is the first.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I don't think I would have put it at S tier, but I think I would put it in A tier.
I can see where it could be A tier. So I would, if anything, I would say before Mad Monster Mansion. I love Madame Grunty. I can never get that.
You don't say.
I can't get that little treat spell that she has, but I love Madame Grunty. I mean, I came up with that myself.
That was really good. That was really good. Whoa.
I love Witchyworld, and of course I'm the witch, so I own that part. But yeah, Salty Joe and Big Al are absolutely disgusting. But do see,
it's great.
Yeah, you do see the introduction, the reintroduction of Conga, the return with a new little thing. Now he is a ringmaster. And you get the van transformation, which is really, I think, useless. I mean,
it's pretty basic. It's not a great transformation.
Yeah. Right, it does its part for what it's meant to do, but other than just, opening rides, which I guess makes sense because you do need to pay to do rides, but, Mumbo does his thing, which is pretty cool. I love the different theme parks. I love there's the horror area where you meet Gobi again.
Yep.
This is where you meet Gobi. He's supposed to go to Lava World, isn't he? But he's not in Lava World, but when you rescue him from the... Yeah, he's like, what is he, a freak or something like that? So, so when you end up meeting him with his beard and all, you rescue him and he goes to the Lava World, which we'll get into a little later. But you have the horror world, you have the western area, you have the space zone, you have Area 51.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and this actually connects to Glitter Gulch with the UFO that you can get in, and you can ride the UFO in the. Is it the Perilous Peril? Is that what it's called?
Saucer of Peril.
Saucer of Peril. That's what it is.
Yes.
I knew Peril was in there somewhere. And you fly around.
I love that mini game. I don't care if I can't get beat it in one fell swoop. I love playing it. I love playing it.
It is fun.
Yeah, you can, and it does interact with Terrydactyland as well in multiple ways, which I think is awesome.
This is the level where you learn the split up, the split pads, and you can actually. So this is a gripe I have against Banjo Tooie. It does redeem itself in the end, but it frustrates me that you learn the split pad, but they don't give you at least your base attack right away.
Yeah.
That makes zero sense to me. Why wouldn't you at least just give them their base attacks of Banjo's Pack Whack and Kazooie's little spin attack?
Right.
They should have given you those moves right off the bat, and you learn more as you go.
You could have integrated them with the split pad. Like you could have been like his little rhyme with the split pad, and then say, as Banjo, you can do this. This is how you do it. It's like, and then do the same with Kazooie. Like I think it would be better. And of course, who else do you meet? The Minjos.
The Minjos. Oh, yeah. I always forget about the Minjos. Every time I come back to Tooie, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They're not all nice anymore.
Yep, and then of course you have Mr. Patch, which is
top tier boss fight.
Probably my favorite. Is one of my two favorites in this game.
His character is just so fun. I just love everything about him. He's just funny. Yeah. He inflates. You break his patches. He's almost a little insulted that you call him small, and he gets bigger. He's such a unique character. A giant inflatable Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you have and he's patched up.
This world, and I don't know like if it's this is a family friendly video or whatever, but I won't go into details. But this world does have its first adult humor joke when Mr. Patch grows up and what's between his legs. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's the first joke, and the other one is in Terrydactyland. I won't go into details, but I'm letting you know, like, Grant Kirkhope even talked about how they had a really sense of humor for a game that's rated E.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think Witchyworld, the music is very memorable too. You actually get to meet Boggy's family all grown up for the most part. Yes. I mean, his kids are back. And his wife, who you never see in the first game, so I think that's super funny. But Boggy's still not there. He's still a deadbeat. Yeah. He does appear in this game, but later. We'll get to that. But they're all out having a good time without him. That's all you need to know about Boggy. I think it's got a lot of cool things. I love the different aesthetics of the Fire World, the Western World, all that jazz. Everything looks different. It's got that instance. I did mention it earlier, but I'm going to mention it again. You get high enough above Witchyworld, and it creates that ambient thing like Treasure Trove Cove. I think it's a fantastic level. And where is it sitting for you? Because I think you said S tier, and I think if I were to put it at S tier, I'd go bottom S tier. Possibly
I was going to say
top
either A before Man Monster or after Click Clock Wood S.
Okay, just because we have so many in A, I'm going to give it that low tier S status. And
by the way, the music in this is bomb. This music is my favorite song in the entire game.
It's pretty great. And this is the instance of Grunty pops up and talks to you all the time. And it's pretty funny. The things she says, and you can't, if you try to leave with food, she confiscates it, which I think is just a funny little touch.
Right. And then, of course, you see the Twinkly Munches from Freezy Peak as Dodgem drivers.
Yes. It's awesome. And just the callbacks. It has a lot of callbacks to the previous game, and it's a lot of fun. So, I definitely rank it there. That sounds like a good spot. So, moving on from Witchyworld, I believe we're at Jolly Roger's Lagoon?
Jolly Roger's Lagoon, yeah.
Jolly Roger's Lagoon / Atlantis, they're together. They're the same. The same. So if people are confused about that.
About this world the other day, I was texting you because I haven't played this world in a while, and I don't really care for this world because of those darn pufferfish. But I was playing it for the first time, and I was asking you, where's that big fish cavern at? Because I couldn't remember how to get there. You guided me the right direction. I'm like, thank you, you're my lifesaver right now, because I couldn't figure out where it was. I love this world, though. I prefer the top half of the world, like the seaside town.
Yes, same.
Yeah, I love that so much. The doubloons. You meet Captain Blubber again. You meet Pano.
Tip
You
Top.
meet You meet Jolly Roger, which is the, I guess, first noticeably gay character in the game, which is really cool because it gave diversity to the characters. I love that, and I loved Blackbeard. What was his name?
Yeah, Blackbeard. Blackbeard. That's right. Or Black Eye.
Captain
Yeah. You're correct. Yeah.
Yes, Captain Black Eye. That was really cool.
Drinking. Sick.
Yeah, he's drinking, and he makes comments about how he used to be in a game or something like that.
He says, I had a dream once.
Yes,
Which is such a cool callback because that, like I said earlier, that's the game that Banjo came from. They started it out as Project Dream, and it transitioned into Banjo Kazooie. So he was originally intended to be the bad guy. So
I love the music. I don't like the Talon Torpedo. That's probably one of my least favorite moves. I cannot control that thing for the life of me.
it's hard to control. It is very loose. I think so. I'll say the things it's got going for it, and this is just to throw this out there too. When you were talking about Jolly Roger, if you look over at the menu for the bar, this is more of that adult humor that just bypassed everything. I can't remember there. You get like Seaman's Surprise or something. Like you get all these like kind of dirty names of their drinks and food and stuff, which is just just a funny little thing that the team put in there.
I have to mention this quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Pano's pawn shop, what do you see on the shelf?
You see Grunty's little doll.
Yes, from Grunty's Furnace Fun, one of the prizes.
And it's missing an eye.
Yes, absolutely, which is very clever to Grunty losing the eye in the prologue.
You also see a box that says BK, and I think a picture of Brentilda, if I remember right.
You do see a picture of Brentilda, but I'm not sure if that's in Pano's shop or if that's in Captain Blubber's Wave Racer shop. It's in one of them, but I think it's like down and kind of like behind a box or something.
Yeah, right.
Mistaken.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, Captain Blubber, he's back.
Yes.
He's awesome, and he's running. He's lost all his riches, and he was running a jet. Was it a jet ski rental?
Yes.
Yeah, and Wave Racer. Yes,
yeah.
Of course, Wave Racer. And he. Go ahead.
I was gonna say with the boss, Lord Wu Fact, I was researching just some things about trivia about this world, just because I was curious when I was playing it. And one thing that I came across was the name Lord Wu Fact came to be because one of the game designers, the programmers, every time his code wouldn't work, he would say the F word, which they turned into fact for E for everyone, basically. And when he got his code working again, because after it wouldn't work and he got it working, he would always yell, "Woo!"
That's a good fact. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
But to be honest, I don't like the boss battle that much because it is kind of tough with the boils. But when you're the submarine, it's a little easier.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever done it as the submarine. I'm always just shooting grenade eggs.
The last two things I do that before I have to backtrack is I go as the submarine and I go to fight the shrapnels that return from Banjo Kazooie in the minigame because you can only be the submarine to do it. And then I go into Davy Jones' locker and fight Lord Wu Fact because you get unlimited torpedoes.
Ah, yeah, that's a good little tip.
Yes.
That's a little pro gamer tip right there.
Yeah.
So be the submarine, and the submarine otherwise it's not my favorite transformation, but it's not the worst either. It's just pretty middle route. I think I'm with you. The top part's better. I love meeting the little pigs that are mutated. So actually, when I went back, I forgot that they were mutated, and like the one had 3 arms. And I was playing the game for my analyzing series. I think I even said this. I was playing it.
Yeah, I remember this.
I thought my game was glitched. And I was like, oh no, my game's wigging out. Like, he's got another arm. It's duplicating. Is it about to crash? And I was freaking out for my recording and everything. And I was like, crap. And then all of a sudden, Kazoo goes, why do you have another arm? And I was like, oh. But it was pretty funny. It got me. I do like when you go underwater. First off, they give you faster swimming in this game. If this game had the same swimming as Kazooie, it would have been trash. Straight up trash. But they
Yeah.
give you a faster method of swimming by holding A and B at the same time. You kind of combine Banjo and Kazooie swimming at the same time. Makes it so much quicker, so much better. But following that, there's an alien spaceship in Atlantis, right when you swim down.
Yep.
You can go inside and help the aliens get their ship up and running. And they come back later in the game, but I just love that. They're so funny. They're just, you know?
Yep. Yep. And you can also go to Grunty's Industries from this world, collect a Jinjo. Now I can't remember, but the Jinjo either counts as Grunty's Industries Jinjo, and you can get it before you even enter the world, or it is Jolly Roger's Lagoon Jinjo. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it's when you use the grenade egg inside the Jolly Roger's Inn, and you shoot it through the window to blow up the side of the thing. You go down there, and then there's like a Jiggy that you have to eventually learn how to use Glide to go and get that. You go down there, and you use the Talent Torpedo to break open the thing, and you go in there, and then you have to use the Ice Eggs to turn off the fans for a little bit, and then you're into Jolly Roger's Lagoon. I mean, into Grunty Industries, and then there's a little Jinjo there that is in like behind a piece of glass that you can't get in Grunty's Industries.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking for a second. I was like, wait a minute, because if you go down that pipe, it's actually a Minjo, but they throw you off with that.
Right.
So,
that one's in Jolly Rogers. Yeah. That one's in
I think you're right. I think it does count for Grunty's Industries, not Jolly Rogers. But so it's definitely, as you get down and you're exploring and you're swimming, it's just the controls get a little sloppy. They're not bad, but they're not great. The enemies underwater, you have to go into first-person mode a lot and kind of shoot your eggs at them. It does give you a good implementation for using ice eggs or grenade eggs and kind of using variety there. I think it's overall, it's one of my least favorite levels from Tooie. But I do think that it made dramatic improvements over something that involves swimming like Clanker's Cavern. So for me, I feel like I could put this as... I'd probably put it as bottom B.
I was thinking the same thing after Gobi's Valley B.
Yeah, I think under Gobi's Valley, but it's still better than these levels down here, because even though it is swimming and I hate swimming levels, I got to give credit where credit's due. They did make it really interesting, and the boss is creative, and it's got some cool stuff. I love Davy Jones' locker. That's funny too, and the names of all the developers on the lockers. That's super cool.
That is hilarious. Yeah.
But all right, well, there we go with that one. That easy placement. Following Jolly Roger's Lagoon. Now I'm mapping this out of my head. Is it Hailfire Peaks yet? Or did we go ahead? It is Terrydactyland. I couldn't remember which one came first. Terrydactyland. All right, I feel like we might have a mixed opinion on this. But maybe not. I've thought that before, and I feel like we've been pretty on the same page. So I'm going to let you say your piece first.
Terrydactyland. Okay, where do I start about this empty, very big world? Too many... a big world, I do get confused. This is where I'm currently at, by the way, on my current playthrough. I just started this world. I like it. It's not bad, but it feels to me very empty in certain spots. I do like the music. I love the transformation. I love Daddy T-Rex compared to Baby T-Rex,
This is one of the... Is this the only level where we get 2 transformations?
Yes.
In all the Banjo. Yep.
Yes. And I love the Daddy T-Rex, and you get to interact with the whatever Saurus when you're the Baby T-Rex to learn how to like roar, which is cool. I mean Mumbo gets to shrink or raise her Wumbo Wigwam, which is pretty cool. I love the enlarged section, and I think the reason why they did that was for the dirty joke of the pads going out of Mumbo's skull. I'm not gonna go into details, but I mean, enlarge and the pattern come on, that's definitely. And Grant told me, I think it was my first interview, Grant told me that they didn't intentionally plan that But then he told me, I think in my second interview, that it was planned. So I think there's little mixed bag of what's happening, but that is too coincidental to me. Ultimately, the boss battle with Terry, it's not my favorite boss battle. I really don't like scaling that whole area to get up there, and I don't like Stompidon, because that is just, I always die there, and that kind of irritates me. But Terry, like, you can't, like, usually when you fight a boss, you would think the last thing you do is fight the boss. But really, the last thing, one of the first things you should do is fight Terry, or at least middle ground, because after you fight Terry, you gotta rescue her eggs. Hatch her eggs.
Yep.
So you really can't, do that. And then on top of that, one of them, I think the wings broke in or whatever, which is very dark. And you have to use your backpack to put the thing in, and then, you're only Banjo, and you gotta take it all the way up to Terry. Thank God you have the warp pads to make it easier. Like, it's just, there's so much stuff in this world. I think it's real. I mean, it's funny but gross that you have to shoot the ulcers in the dinosaur's stomach.
Yes.
So much, like, things. But ultimately, to me, I would say, probably either B or C. If I have to go B after Jolly Rogers, if I have to go C, maybe before Spiral Mountain.
Okay, so we're gonna have different opinions on this, and I'm happy we do. This, I feel, may be the most decisive level we've done so far, because I love it, and I know for a fact that I am not in the majority on this. Everyone online says Terrydactyland is empty. I talk about this in my video when I'm going through. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about.
We're gonna have differing opinions on this, because I remember in your video you loved it.
I loved it, and I said it's something I looked up. It was like, just to defend my point, not that it's the case, but I said, like, the illusory truth effect, which is somebody said it was empty, and then someone else agreed, and then it just perpetuated this thing online, and people just constantly say Terrydactyland is like the worst level in Tooie. I don't think so. I don't think at all. I think Tooie is a phenomenal level, or I think Terrydactyland is a phenomenal level. The Ooga Boogas are great. The Unga Bungas are great. The dinosaurs you interact with are cool. There's 2 transformations, for crying out loud. You can be a baby T-Rex and you get a little roar like, wah! And you can be a big T-Rex with a giant roar. And there's multiple different dinosaurs that you can interact with that are like giant. It's not a Triceratops, but it's, I can't remember. It's got more horns. It's a different technical dinosaur. It's very large. Yeah. And you have to rescue the children. And there is the one that comes out from the hole and he needs to drink water.
Yep,
which requires a little bit of backtracking. I actually love the boss fight. I think it's very unique. I think it's different. I like she throws snot at you. I think it's funny.
That is pretty funny, actually.
Scaling it, I don't remember that being a problem, really. It's one of those levels I feel like really uses Kazooie's gliding mechanic when you're split up and stuff, and it just gives you room to explore, but it doesn't feel empty to me. It feels like there's enough. I could see why people might think that, but me personally, I don't feel it's as empty as as Glitter Gulch Mine. Glitter Gulch Mine to me is more empty, spaced out than Terrydactyland. Like, Terrydactyland is large, but it's large for a purpose. It's large for a purpose because when you transform into that giant T-Rex, you need space to run. It's got giant caves and stuff. It's large for what it is, but it fits the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right? And I just really like it. Is it my favorite level? No, it's not my favorite level. I'm just defending it a little bit more because if you ranked it top C, bottom B, I personally probably would have ranked it somewhere like low A, maybe high B. So if we met in the middle, is this acceptable? Putting it just above Jolly Rogers.
I could go with that, yeah.
Okay, because I think...
Because honestly, I like this world more than Jolly Rogers, if I'm going to be honest.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. I feel like I have more fun in Terrydactyland than I did in Jolly Rogers. Right. Is it as well designed as Gobi's? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can agree
So
with that, but definitely Gobi's I think is better than Terrydactyland.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I'm not going to argue that. I'm just saying if I was doing it myself, I probably would have put it there, but replaying it and going
yeah,
through it, I see the flaws, I see what people say. I definitely respect other people's opinions, and I think realistically, personal stuff aside, it sits somewhere in that B tier.
I
Because
agree.
I don't think it's bad at all. I think Litter Gulch Mine so far is the worst level from Tooie,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So moving forward, I just became Chills. If you know who Chills is on YouTube, sometimes I like to talk like Chills, and I'll just throw this out here for people to say, well, now we have another level to get to. He talks like that. It's funny. Um, I actually don't know which one is next. Is it Hailfire now?
Grunty
Oh, it's
Industries.
Grunty. Man, I just want to talk about Hailfire because I love that level. Grunty Industries. All right.
So
Yeah.
this
So
is where I think Rusty Bucket Bay is gonna have a little buddy.
I'm with you.
A
I'm
lot of
with
people
you.
don't like Industries. A lot of people that I've seen online actually started to love it the more they played through it. The more I played through it, I feel like I'm working a full-time job. And
Yes.
I'm actually working in that industry.
Oh my gosh. The thing about Grunty Industries is it's the most confusing layout of a level of any of these levels. It is so hard to navigate. No matter what, you really have to pay attention to where you're going because it's different floors, and some portions of the floors can only be accessed from specific areas, so you have to remember every little thing. People appreciate it because it's difficulty spike. It's where the game gets really hard. And I
Right.
would say that Grunty Industries, the music is fine. It does have a dirty aesthetic, but it works for it. I think it's very fun. I think it's actually really cool that you have to be creative and find an alternate route to get into the level even after you
Right.
open the door. That's super interesting to me. No
Yeah.
other level really does that, so I'll give it a point for that.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I hated going through this. I was it's the only level that I really sat there and I was like, I'm not really enjoying this. This is like you said, it's work. It's trying to find things.
Yeah.
It's got a few things I like going for it, like turning into the washing machine, that's funny, but navigating through the floors as the washing machine is not fun at all. And when you go, there is the little Easter egg of going down, you find Grunty's toilet again that you get flushed down
Oh yes.
in Mad
Oh, I
Monster
love that.
Mansion.
Yeah.
He's back,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
you have to unclog him first. But then there's also you can if you enter in the room enough times, you can actually get an Easter egg of one of the bunny workers inside the toilet just farting up a storm, and like he's got the runs, and it's hilarious. And he's like, ah, no, my finger went through the toilet paper. Like
Yeah.
it's hilarious. But yeah, overall, it does. I will say this: I do love the boss,
I do
Weldar.
too.
He is really cool, and if nothing else, he brings this level up like a point
Yeah.
for me. But
Yeah.
overall, I would say this is definitely not a level for me. This is not
Yeah.
one that I enjoy replaying when I have to do it. For the sake of the game, I will replay it because I love the rest of the game. But this
Yeah.
level, you could throw it out. I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, and you do get the return of the washing machine, and the bonus part, which I think also gets a point, is that it throws tidy whities at enemies, which is
Yes,
hilarious.
absolutely.
But having to chase down those rabbits and clean them all over the freaking
Tedious.
thing is very tedious. Thank God for the warp pads, but like 2 or 3 of the warp pads you can't even get until you get to the higher up floors, and the only way to get really to the higher up floors is as the washing machine because you can't use the elevator
Yeah.
without it. And then the Twinklies I think return. You have them, but I don't like those little fart thingies that you have to shoot eggs at or whatever. That's kind of annoying to me. I can never.
Yeah.
No, where's that Glitter Gulch one? No, that is okay. That is this world. I don't like those. I don't like that because I can barely get that done in the time frame or whatever. Yeah, it's just this world is so confusing. To me, Wildar is probably a highlight. And of course the washing machine. But if I had to go, I'd probably say above Rusty Bucket Bay. Below Rusty Bucket Bay D. What do you think?
I'm thinking if I want to go that low, I mean, yeah,
Honestly,
it's worse.
I
It's worse.
enjoy Rusty.
No, it's
Yeah,
worse. It's worse.
yeah, I enjoy Rusty Bucket so much better than this world.
Rusty Bucket Bay is better. Grunty Industries is worse because A, it's harder, and B, it's much larger. That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's what kills it. It's
yeah,
and people that respect the skill, it's not a skill issue.
yeah,
It's not that it's hard because it's hard to play and get through. It's hard
yeah.
because it's hard to navigate, and
Right.
everything you have to do in the level is tedious. It's not. It's
Mhm.
go to point A, go to point B, go to point C, go to point D, and then
Yeah,
go back to A.
even to enter the factory is tedious. When I first started playing it, and after I took years and years break, and I eventually played it again for the first time after maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, I'm like, how do I get into this factory? And you have to find the hidden train switch on the
Yeah.
other side of the area, and then you got to exit the world, go find wherever Chuffy's located at, and then enter the factory through there.
See, I will say this. I like that, but only because it was unique. I'm glad they didn't do it again for another level.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
but it was just cool.
How to do it, I like it, but when I was first doing a playthrough, if I didn't remember the world, I didn't know how to get in that factory. I was trying to figure out how do I get in here.
Here's the thing that they should have done different. They shouldn't have made the main door open with Jiggy Wiggy's giant Jiggy. That shouldn't have happened. You should exclusively find this level with the train, because then it would have been like that secret level that you had to hunt for,
Yep.
But there's just some way you should have been able to go about that slightly different, because it's confusing when it opens one way but it's not actually open.
Oh, I agree.
And granted, it does, I mean, it's at the beginning of the level, the switch. You just have to look for it a little bit. But yeah, I definitely, when I replayed it, I forgot how to get in, and I was like, how do I do this? And then I figured it out. I'm like, oh, it's a back way. I was like, that's kind of cool. Was my initial reaction was frustration. My second reaction was, oh, that's neat. It's different. It's unique.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what they were going for, but the batteries can go suck it. I don't
I was
like
gonna say the batteries. That was my next point. Those damn batteries.
using the backpack to pick up those batteries and put them in the switch. I hate that. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Open doors. Navigating this place, it's a giant maze. It's just not a very good level. And
even having to be Mumbo and having to be timed as Mumbo to go back to Banjo Kazooie before the time ran out.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So that's definitely down at the bottom. So moving past that, are we finally at Hailfire?
We're at Hailfire.
Okay, finally. Okay. I've been wanting to talk about this one because I love this level, and whether or not it's in S tier in our list, it's in S tier in my heart, because I love everything about this. I love the fire side, I love the ice side, I love the dragons, I love the fact that you have Saberman, is it Saberman from Saberwolf, and the aliens make a return, and you've got to revive them, and it's really morbid and it's hilarious. You get Yetis, in there.
Right.
There's so much going on, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Both sides are beautiful. There's an ice section that's just everything's blue aesthetic. It's shiny. It's glossy. It's very cool. You find Boggy again, and he's sitting in an igloo. This is where they relocated from Freezy Peak. They live in the ice side of Hailfire Peaks, and he's sitting there watching TV, and his family's out having a good time at Witchyworld. He's a deadbeat. He's sitting there, and he's noticeably fatter than he was.
And he has his new TV, of course. But then on the lava side, he got the returning Gobi. He finally got to the lava world.
Gobi got to the lava world, and
although I have to say we are gonna disagree a lot on this one, because this one is probably better than Grunty's, but I don't think it's as good as Rusty Bucket. No, this is S tier, man.
Oh man, you got me. I was like, what?
Remember I told you that there was 2 worlds that were S tier, Witchyworld, and there was another one.
Oh, fantastic, good, because I love this world. I was like, are you kidding me?
The bosses are so polar opposites. In the lava side, you have chilly Now this is how I remember it. You have Chili. Is it Chili Billy?
Chili Billy and Chili
how do I
Willy.
remember Chili Billy? Because you know how I know he's the lava side? Because chili is spelled like the hot chili food.
Yeah, like
'Cause I
peppers.
remember
Yeah.
it. And he wanted a pizza, and he does. And you're not the pizza man, but you defeat him by shooting ice eggs. But on the icy side, you have Mr. He wants a pizza as well, Chili Willy, but his chili spelled like cold chili. And he wants pizza, and you shoot fire eggs into him. So it's like polar opposite. Amazing, and they are both so cool because you need to use the you can't kill him first, either of the bosses right away, even if you want to, because they're shooting everything at you, but you can't because in the fire side he has to shoot that fireball to remove something. I think it's like a pad that shows a flying switch.
Yep.
And you can't do the same thing you can't kill him in the icy side right away because you need to get him to hit the big toe guy.
The Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, yeah, the Yeti. Yeah, I love them, and the fact that those bosses, like, A, why do they have big cannons on their thing, like, just ripe for shooting out of? Like, they should have seen that coming. And B, they're hilarious because they're these big, intimidating dragons, and then when they get out, their bodies are itty-bitty. Like, their bodies are small, and they're just, their head was everything. It's so funny. Yes, the tongue is great. And I love when you shoot the eggs in the cannon, they shoot out, they become giant. Like, they get amplified, and they become these big things. Yeah. Those bosses are top tier. I think the fact there's two of them is really cool. They're pretty much the same. They're just opposite. One is weak to ice, and one's weak to fire. But they're so cool. The levels themselves look great. The music is phenomenal. Okay?
Right.
One of the top tracks.
And Chuffy, Chuffy is awesome because he gets into the fire side and he doesn't have, it gets overheated. And what do you gotta do? You gotta drain Gobi again!
Yeah, poor Gobi.
Poor Gobi.
Oh, man.
And the one thing that to me in this world that I really, really don't like, and it's a big thing, but also a small thing, but because you don't use it that much. But it's the snowball.
Yeah, it's.
To me, it's one of the weaker transformations. Definitely not worse than Glitter Gulch because you can't hurt yourself, but you also can. I think you can easily die if you're as small as you can be in the fire side because you only have one life.
Here's the thing. You can't hurt yourself. But you need to hurt yourself.
Yes.
Which is a slightly different take. I will say it's better than the detonator. But I will agree it's not one of the but I still enjoy it. And for the reason that when you go in the snow and you grow, it's very satisfying. It's like Katamari. You know, you roll and you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's a lot of fun. But it's really minor, so you don't really have to use it that much. I just love the aesthetic and the fire side. You get the return of the like Mayahem Temple soccer games or the Coliseum kickballs, yes, and you can actually come back as the transformation from Mayahem Temple, and you be that so technically this level you can be two different transformations, which is really cool. And
don't forget the kickball is reverse order. You gotta get the lowest amount of points. So instead of kicking the ball into your goal, you got to kick the red balls into the other people's goal to make sure that their score is lower than yours. I mean, higher than yours, or something like that. You know what I mean?
You got it. You
need to be lower.
It's great. I am totally on board with S tier. I think personally, I have more fun if I had to rate it. Ah, man, dude, I love this level so much. I can't put it above Treasure Trove. I could put it above Witchyworld for sure. I think I could put it above Freezy Peak because my logic is it has Freezy Peak and then it also has a lava world on top of it. So in my mind, it goes here. It does not. There we go. What do you think?
I agree, and I think we're gonna have our first switch because outside of all the other worlds, I think thinking back, Hellfire's Peak above Freezy Peak, but I think Freezy Peak should go after Click Clock Wood now.
Okay, I'm for that. I can see that.
Because the more I think about it, Hellfire Peak has Freezy Peak, but better.
Yeah.
And to me, Click Clock Wood, I don't know, just something about that. Like in this game, Witchyworld, Hailfire's Peak are my top two, and Click Clock Wood is my top, pretty much my top for Banjo Kazooie. And I think I don't. I just think the snowman alone and Freezy Peak kind of make that worse than Click Clock Wood and Hailfire.
Yeah, I'm for that. That's a good point. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, now we've made it to Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Yes.
Oops, I just kicked something. Made a really funny blah blah noise. So Cloud Cuckoo Land. First off, the name's great. Love it.
Yeah.
I love how you enter this level with a big bubble and you fly up into the sky. I love that you can look down and see the Isle o' Hags. That's super cool. I think I'm not a huge fan of the islands in the sky being separate, and you have to fly or have some special means of transportation to get to places like the plants. As cool as I think the plants like shooting you out are, I would have rather just have paths that I could have navigated to. It does give us what I think may be... I know I said Mr. Patch is a great boss fight, but I think Minji Jungle might be the best boss in the game.
That was when I said earlier that Mr. Patch is one of my two favorites, but not my favorite. I meant that Minji Jungle is my favorite boss in this game.
Yeah, it's
up there.
It's just the best. It's Terminator Evil Mumbo. And the fight itself is just you just fight him. You just hit him, and as you hit him, pieces of his Mumbo his Mumbo costume fall off, and it's revealed that he's just this Terminator like robot underneath, and he's very creepy looking.
And you can be Mumbo, go in there, and nothing happens.
Yeah, it's so interesting. But I remember as a kid being terrified because I was like, Mumbo's evil? Because I loved Mumbo. And then I realized, oh no, it's not actually Mumbo. There's two Mumbo's huts here. And I was like, oh, they got me.
I still kind of get confused which one is the real Mumbo skull. I think it's the red one that's the real one, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember. I couldn't tell you.
I can't remember. The only way I find out is if I can use Mumbo or if I'm in a boss battle. Then I'm like, oh, so this is the one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have a 50-50 shot.
The return of Canary Mary, and I do not like that. I can beat her barely for the Jiggy. I cannot ever beat her for the Cheeto page. And in the group, it's funny because we met through Reddit, which is hilarious. I love that group. I read it all the time, and I finally found out how you can get the Cheeto page by reading the group and people saying. I've never tried that theory yet, but basically you got to be losing, but not by much, because she'll basically do a boggy and Freezy Peak and say, you know, you're too slow for me, I quit. And then even though she does that, I should win by forfeit, just saying. She ends up you have to be like right behind her, and then at the very last second, then you have to button mash to beat her.
It's rubber banding is what they call it. And it's definitely, you have to consistently press the button but slowly. So you're moving just fast enough that she doesn't quit, but slow enough that she kind of just stays with you. And she never really gets too far ahead. And then the last second, you just kind of really fast. It took a long time for me to get the Cheeto page, for sure. But I actually did figure it out by myself. I will say that. I'm very proud of myself. But for, like, just to put it in perspective, I played this game religiously growing up. Tooie specifically. Kazooie I did play, but Tooie specifically I played the most in my childhood. The most played game of my childhood, probably. I spent hours upon, like, hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing this game, just trying to get that last Cheeto page. That's all I needed, and I did get it. And that's when I figured it out that you had to play it that way. Because I tried things like wrapping a rubber band around a pencil and like trying to like tap it as fast as possible, because that was one of the recommended things. I never had a turbo controller, was never interested in that. But Canary Mary, definitely worst part about this level. But it is worth noting that you do not need to beat her unless you want to get 100%, which is something that the bar for completing Kazooie, you have to get almost every collectible, but the bar for beating Tooie is you can have a lot of slack there. You don't have to get, so you can pick and choose things. So honestly, that's my argument for that.
And I played this game of Kazooie a billion times, I'm telling you, and Kazooie, I always 100% it.
Yeah.
Tooie, I never 100% it because I can never get that last Cheeto page. Never can get it.
Viewers will be happy to know that 13-year-old Jiggylookback did in fact 100% this game.
There you go.
And not only did I 100% this, I also 101%ed Donkey Kong 64, which is another feat entirely. So I'm just throwing it out there.
I love the music.
Music's great.
I love the Zubas come back, and I love you can be the bee like in Click Clock Wood. You can this time you can actually attack and fly. You can stingers out, which is even better.
And you fly faster.
I love that. And you can fly faster. I love that. You get to interact with the Zubas. A lot of people don't like this world because they think it's corny. I love the music and I love the cheese. I love the pot of gold. I love the garbage can where on the milk carton it's where's Tootie?
Yeah, missing since Kazooie.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it, and I love like the very corny aspects of it. I love they have a safe, and the combination is the year I believe Rare was founded, if I'm not mistaken, which is really exciting. Right. Yeah, so, I love that.
I will say that this is collecting Cheeto pages throughout the game and unlocking cheat codes by going to Grunty's Lair and handing the Cheeto pages to Cheeto. And then you have to go back to Mayahem Temple and enter them in. It doesn't take many Cheeto pages to get this, but you'll want to get the fall damage cheat, which basically just stops you from taking fall damage. I think entirely, right? It doesn't. You just don't receive fall damage from falling.
No,
this is
no. This last Cheeto page, I believe, fixes the jukebox in Jolly Rogers.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about getting the Cheeto page for that. I'm saying you'll want to collect enough Cheeto pages to get this cheat for this level. Because you'll want... There's... Cloud Cuckoo Land, it's a lot of... Is that high enough to kill me moments? And you jump down and you will get hurt. And you will have low health.
That is true.
It's valuable.
Also, yes, and Mr. Fit is pretty fun, actually. I'm not going to lie. Mr. Fit is pretty fun.
He's a funny character.
You think that when you played the game and it was dark with the whole bottles thing, and we'll get into King Jingling and all that. In Hailfire's Peaks, you could kill Mildred the Ice Cube, who's waiting for her husband to come back.
Yeah.
Well, in Cloud Cuckoo Land, you meet George, and if you kill Mildred, then that's bad. But you need to kill her to get the Jinjo anyways, or she can get it for you. Whatever, but you can kill George because you have to knock him off to get him back to Hailfire Peaks. But you miscalculate, and he
falls into the fire, the heat side,
and he cools down that pit that you can't get in even with the backpack or whatever.
It's so funny. That made me. I forgot about that, and when I replayed it, it made me laugh so hard because it was so dark. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And for that, you get 2 Jiggies for that, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. No, you get 1 Jiggy because it affects 2 worlds.
Yeah.
Because you end up going into Hellfire Peaks to cool down the lava because you can't even use the backpack to get in there because it's so hot. But then when the water's cooled down, you can then use the backpack to empty the water into, I believe...
Into Jolly Rogers Lagoon. Yep. It's interconnecting like 3 different levels, which is pretty awesome. I just love how morbid it is. It's so funny. It's so dark, but it just shows the tone. They still had that charm. They still went for it. It was just funny. I think overall, Cloud Cuckoo Land has a lot of cool ideas. I think it has some flaws. I think it's necessary to have that fall damage cheat. Like, seriously, just take my word for that. You should really make an effort to get enough Cheeto pages to get that because it's very helpful. I would probably put this level... I think it's better than Terrydactyland. I don't... I'm feeling B tier. I'm just feeling B tier. That's where I'm at.
I was thinking either before or after Gobi's. I'm conflicted.
I'm feeling like it's very memorable... And Minji Jongo should put it above Gobi's. Yeah. Because that boss fight's amazing. And some of the missions...
Yeah.
Some of the missions in... It's not one... There we go. Some of the missions in Cloud Cuckoo Land are just, like, really good. You know, they aren't all consistently good, but some of them are really good. So...
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I sit with that. All right, and so now we're coming up on Cauldron Keep, which includes the last boss fight, and that also includes the Tower of Tragedy, which is the quiz game. And Klungo, and another Klungo fight, yes. So this is the last Klungo fight, and actually the Isle of Hags has 2 Klungo fights. So I was going to say we could take them together, but let's take them one at a time. Cauldron Keep, there's not much to the level besides the Tower of Tragedy, which I think is a fun little quiz show that quizzes you about the game. I don't think it's as hard as Furnace Fun, personally.
I think it's harder than Furnace Fun.
You think it's harder?
I think it's harder.
I'm trying to remember now, because as I said that,
it is way darker because she kills her sisters.
Well, yeah, she does that, but you can replay it from like checkpoints almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so that makes it a little easier, and also she asks you questions that are actually about the game, not like about herself, which I think the questions about herself were really hard if you weren't paying attention in Furnace Fun. Whereas this game, it's like, where is this from? And if you played Tooie as much as I did, maybe that's why it's so easy for me.
Yeah.
Because I could locate things. I knew what a sound effect was. I knew where that music was from. I knew,
I agree.
So maybe there's that thing, but I just feel like overall it was easier. But I don't think the boss fight's as strong as Kazooie. I think Cauldron...
definitely not. I can beat the boss fight without actually having the cheat of never dying.
Yeah, it's... Well, I could do that, but it's still like... It's not an easy...
And she does ask you questions in the middle of the fight, too, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a very mid fight. It's...
Yeah.
I don't know. If I had to put it, I'd probably
look at Mumbo making a very bad video game that he wanted to make because he retired from being Grunty's slave or whatever. And
Klungo saves the world.
Also, the dark part about Klungo is every time you beat him, he says he's gonna get more beatings from Mistress, and he comes back the next fight with black eyes and bruises because he got beatings from Mistress.
Right. But what's funny about that is every time you see him, the like subtitle under his name changes. Like first, it's like Klungo, minion of, or whatever, you know what I mean? It says like a normal thing, and then as you progress, it just gets more, and then it ends with like career questioning henchman or something.
Minion, and then career questioning minion, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think the Klungo fights are better than the Grunty fight for sure.
Yeah. And also you get to resurrect Bottle here.
Oh yeah. That's cool, and seeing the machine is cool. But there's just not much to this level besides those 2 fights, really. So
I would say after Grunty's Industry, if I'm going to be honest, just because it's not really a world, really.
Put it down at the bottom. It's the lowest. Yeah, I'd probably say so too. That's pretty fair. But the Isle of Hags, flip side, massive interconnectivity between all these worlds. It introduces you to everything. It has so many characters like Honeybee. We didn't even talk about Jam Jars, but Jam Jars is a thing. He's the replacement for Bottles. He's all over the place.
There are different eggs throughout each section of Isle of Hags. All the Jinjo family, and another dark aspect, the Grey Jinjo family was bulldozed over during Grunty's trek to Cauldron Keep.
Yep, the Jinjo King, Jingling.
Yep.
Jiggy, which is, fun fact, that's where I thought of my name. So when I was thinking, man, I really want it to be something with banjo, and I was like, Jiggies. I was like, but I didn't want to just be Jiggy, which a lot of people just call me Jiggy, which is totally fine. I accept it. But I wanted my channel to be something where it's like more specific, and so I was like, and I want to do like retro gaming content. I want to look back at all these games, and that's where I literally said look back. So I was like, Jiggylookback, but I didn't want it to be spaced out words. I wanted it to be a name, and Jiggy Wiggy is all one word. And I was like, I'll be like Jiggy Wiggy, Jiggylookback. And so that is where I got my name. So Jiggy Wiggy is my papa, if you got nothing else from that story.
You got Haggy?
Yeah, Haggy. Yep, you got Haggy. Let's see what else. There's an opportunity to transform Kazooie into a dragon, which is dope as heck.
Yep. And Mumbo is in the cliff top, and you can use him to heal the dinosaur from Terrydactyland. You can do that, and you also can what else? I think it's just there's like you learn new eggs in each of the sections, which is really cool.
There's a lot. It's a very well thought out hub world. And initially, after you progress to the first part of the game, it always starts you off from your save in Jinjo Village, and Jinjo Village music slaps.
I was just gonna say the Jinjo Village music is probably one of my favorite songs in this game. And if you think about it, every section you go to has new music.
Yeah, every section, and it's all equally great. Yep, you can warp, and it's really fancy looking, and it connects with jam jars. You can go into Bottle's house. That's a huge thing. You can go into Bottle's house, and you can meet his children, and each of his children has, like, reference to other games. So one kid's playing with a Donkey Kong toy, which I love. They have Jet Force Gemini character posters in the rooms. His wife is hilarious with, like, the curlers in her hair and everything. Oh my God, yeah. It's got so much character. Just the Isle of Hags in general. It's just so much character, and it's massive.
And when King Jingling is a zombie, I don't know if you ever heard him talk. He also talks about how he and Lord Wu Fak Fak were old chums at one point.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that.
And also, do you know there's a returning character in the Jinjo Village?
Oh, yes, his pet. His pet, yeah.
And when he becomes a zombie, Toots is
dust. He's just a little ashes sitting there with eyes. But he does get resurrected, so all is well in the end. But the Isle of Hags has so many distinct areas. Everyone has its charm. It's great. I love the interconnectivity. You want to travel through it. You want to explore things. It really opened up the Banjo universe, and for that reason, I would say it's on par, if not better than Gruntilda's Lair, because that's where we put the hub world, and I personally think I would put it at the top of A tier.
I would 100% agree with that.
As much as I hear people go, "Mad Monster Mansion," but it's so big. It has so much charm. It has so much character. There's so many different music tracks. It's one of the examples of this game being giant, but also having a lot of stuff to do. And not every area is as great as other areas. Some are a little smaller. Some don't have as much to do. But it's the fact it's all interconnected, and it made this whole Banjo universe and introduced so many different characters. That's worth mentioning, and I think it's great. So I'm counting it as a top tier level. So that brings us to the end. We just ranked everything. So let's do final thoughts. Let's look through our list. Let's see if we agree with what we said, if we need to make a couple adjustments before we finalize this tier list and end this video. But S tier, I'm just going to read them off. We have Treasure Trove Cove, followed by Hailfire Peaks, followed by Click Clack Woods, then Freezy, then Witchyworld. I feel like all of those I agree are S tier.
Yeah, the only thing, if anything, to change, I would probably put Witchyworld above Freezy Peak.
Dude, we're so in sync. I was going to say the same thing. I was like, I feel like Witchyworld deserves a little bit more love there. And that actually gives us a nice symmetrical spacing between Banjo, Tooie, Banjo, Tooie, Banjo, which seems just right. Okay, so now looking at A tier. We have the Isle of Hags, Mad Monster Mansion, Gruntilda's Lair, Mayahem Temple, Mumbo's Mountain, and Spiral Mountain Kazooie. I think I have one change that might be a little drastic.
Go ahead.
I think I'd take this off and put it down here.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay, perfect.
The more I was thinking about it, I'm like, Spiral Mountain Kazooie is good, but it is a very basic tutorial where you only learn a handful of moves and collect a couple of honeycombs. So,
you learn just as many moves in Mumbo's Mountain and just as many moves in Mayahem Temple that you do in the very first tutorial level, and there's much more to do. So that's where I would put it. And even looking at B tier list, I'm trying to think. I think Terrydactyland, Jolly Rogers, I'm fine with sitting at the bottom. I think Jolly Rogers definitely sits at the bottom. Gobi's Valley, Cloud Cuckoo Land, I think I'm good with that too. I almost wonder if I'd put Spiral Mountain down even further. Personally,
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking maybe Spiral Mountain after Jolly Rogers.
You think down at the bottom would be?
just because it's so basic.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very good
You know what?
basic, but
You're right. You're right. That's where it needs to
but it's
go.
definitely not sea level because Spiral Mountain Tooie, I think, it deserves sea level, whereas Kazooie doesn't.
Yes.
Actually, we'll get to sea level and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place for B tier because it is a little. It's better than Tui Spiral Mountain, but it's still basic, right?
Yeah.
So I think just putting it just above that, the next tier above that, is the right spot. So looking at the C tier, Bubblegloop Swamp, Clanker's Cavern, Glitter Gulch Mine, Sparrow Mountain. I think this one I definitively think needs to sit here at the bottom.
I think Spiral Mountain Tooie is no longer in C. I think it needs to go to D. Maybe even before Cauldron Keep, after Grunty Industry, because you really don't do much there.
Yeah, I feel that. I think you're on the ball with that. Because you're right. There's not much to do. There's a couple secrets and Easter eggs. You learn the new swimming mechanic.
Yeah.
It really is just to show that, hey, this is the same world. And then you move on immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Cauldron Keep.
If anything that it has going for it is the fastest swimming, the more air bubbles, and then all you do is get like one Jinjo, and you hand in Cheeto pages, and you collect an egg, the Eggy hat.
And the cartridge. Yeah.
Yeah, the cartridge. Yeah, that's about it.
So, but it does give you that sense of I want to explore and see what's changed. So for that reason, I put it above Cauldron Keep for sure.
I think if you can explore the entire Gruntilda's Lair abandoned, I think then it would probably be maybe a C level, or even maybe at the end of B at that point, because I think that would be really cool to investigate and you know.
Yeah, I think if you could explore Grunty's Lair, I think I would put it like above the original Spiral Mountain, just because that would make it way more interesting. Yeah. But the fact you can't, I will say I'm having actually second thoughts about Rusty Bucket Bay.
I am too.
Because Rusty Bucket Bay, although bad as far as a Banjo level, I think it's still better. I think if I had to put it somewhere, I'm almost wanting to move it up here before Glitter Gulch.
I would say actually before Clankers.
You think it's better than Clankers?
I think to me, I think so. Yeah, just the music alone, I think, is better. But what do you think?
It's hard because I really. So here's where I'm at with these levels. I really like the ship in Rusty Bucket Bay, but I don't like all of the ship. And in Clanker's Cavern, I like Clanker, but I don't like what's around Clanker.
Yeah,
so it's kind of similar.
Because I like you can explore the kitchen of the ship. I love that you can explore the captain's quarters of the ship. I love.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Because Rusty Bucket Bay has Easter eggs and references to Conquer, I will put it above Clankers.
There you go.
That will be it. And then I think I'm good with the rest of this.
I think I am too.
I think this is it, guys. This is the definitive Banjo Kazooie and Tooie level tier list. But before we go, I want to pop up some of these results from people that have made tier lists on my Discord and posted the results for me. Yeah. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull that up. So here are the community tier lists. So this one we got from Shadowman9000. Okay. And so they put an S tier, Spiral Mountain. Okay, we definitely disagree on that. Both Spiral Mountains. Oh, we definitely disagree.
Ew.
They put Gruntilda's Lair in there, which I can see. Freezy Peak and Treasure Trove. Got this. Yep, I agree. Whoa, okay. Showing some love for Terrydactyland. I'm not the only one who thinks positively of Terrydactyland. Look at that. That's S tier. That's crazy. Isle o' Hags and Gobi's Valley. Gobi's Valley, to me, the most surprising ones are Spiral Mountain, Tooie, Terrydactyland, and Gobi's Valley. I feel like those three generally have no place up there in S tier. Yeah. Personally, I mean, the rest you could make an argument for, I guess. Like Spiral Mountain is iconic. It is iconic, and that nostalgia feel is something to take into account. But yeah, I don't know the rest. But A tier, Cluck Clock, Mad Monster, Mumbo's, Witchyworld, Mayahem, Hailfire, pretty much are what we consider like really high tier. So it's good to see that that's pretty consistent for them. B tier, Jolly Rogers, Glitter Gulch, Bubblegloop, Cauldron Keep, Clanker's Cavern, Cloud Cuckoo Land. Not too far off of our B list, I guess.
Yeah.
A couple C tiers that we put down below that they brought up. Although I will say Cauldron Keep is a surprise, but if you like that final boss fight, it probably brings it up for you.
Yeah.
But Grunty's Industries, C tier. Rusty Bucket Bay, okay, consistently at the bottom. So the highs of Kazooie pretty much are the same, and the lows of Kazooie and Tooie are pretty much the same. So
yeah,
that's good to see that across the board. All right, so now we got a random flying computer. He's going to love this. Spiral Mountain, he puts at the top. Whoa. He changed the category from S to Spiral Mountain.
I love that.
That's funny. That is funny. And he said F, Banjo Pilot or Canary Mary, Cloud Cuckoo Land. That's actually really funny. I knew that people were going to put that low because of Canary Mary, but you gotta look at it from the perspective of Canary Mary is not required. It doesn't bring down the whole level as a whole. It's just one bad aspect of it, and you gotta either look past it or you like this person and you can't justify it. It's just the devil. It's evil. I get it. Believe me. But personally, I can look past it. A tier, Treasure Trove, Grunty's Lair, Click Clock, Isle of Hags, Jolly Roger's Lagoon. That's an interesting one to have up here. I feel like the rest I could get behind a little bit more. Jolly Roger's is a little surprising, but I do know that people love Atlantis. They do love it.
It is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. To me, I think swimming worlds are just meh.
I am with you 100%. I can't stand swimming worlds. I'm like, anytime it slows me down, I'm just like, B tier, Clanker's Cavern, Hailfire Peaks, Bubblegloop, Mayahem. I feel like we got some shockers in there a little bit. Hailfire is definitely better than Clanker's. And Mayahem is definitely better than Bubblegloop or Clanker's. Like, those two are on another level. These two are definitely stinkers. I would have at least I respect their opinion, but I probably would have put these in A tier minimum. Cauldron Keep, Grunty Industries, Terrydactyland, Witchyworld. They've put those all in kind of the same category where I would argue Witchyworld's way better than any of those. And Terrydactyland's definitely better than these two. Nice to see Rusty Bucket still at the bottom, though. People just genuinely hate that. And Glitter Gulch Mine, which people also dislike, and I'm glad. Cloud Cuckoo Land, again, I disagree with that, respectfully. But I respect their opinion. Let's see. We got... I actually don't know who this is. I want to shout out their name. Oh, it's just I, ... Okay. Well, thanks for completing the results. They put S tier, Click Clock Wood. There you go. They agree, and they put Witchyworld up there too.
I agree.
So there you go. A tier, Treasure Trove, Mumbo's Mountain. I can get behind that. Freezy Peak, Grunty's Lair, Hailfire, Bubblegloop, Spiral Mountain, Rusty Bucket. Whoa! That's our first Rusty Bucket Bays toward the top. I mean, it's not A tier, but it's B tier, and it's on the same par as Hailfire and Grunty's Lair and Freezy. Get out of here. That just shows that there can be such varying opinions with different aspects of the game.
That's what I love about the fandom, because even though we think, like me and you were very, very similar in our thoughts, and we had some disagreements, but other people obviously think differently. They some things that we didn't like, they loved, and other things that they loved, we didn't really care for, and they agreed with some of our things and they disagreed. And I really love the varying of this fandom, how everybody's minds vary.
I like Cloud Cuckoo Land's at the bottom again. Like in my mind, Cloud Cuckoo Land and Glitter Gulch Mine shouldn't be anywhere near each other. I mean, but that's crazy. But they're C tier. Like they top out their C tier with Clankers.
Wow.
I have a feeling this person likes swimming levels.
And that's perfectly okay. I mean, a lot of people like swimming levels. I got used to it over time, but it is very difficult to swim. Like I was actually doing the Jolly Rogers Lagoon. I'm thinking, I don't remember swimming in this world being this difficult.
Yeah, it's awful. But yeah, interesting to see that they put, like Rusty Bucket Bay above like Mayahem Temple or Mad Monster Mansion, for pity's sake. Like, man, that's pretty crazy. moving on. This is actually Scrubber89 on YouTube. Just saying because it shows that I posted it. I posted it because they aren't on Discord and they wanted to be a part of it, and they made a post on YouTube and tagged me in it. So that's in the future when we do tier lists. There's many ways to do that.
Follow Scrubber89.
Yeah, there you go. So thank you for filling it out. So I got it for him here, and it looks a little wonky because I had to merge it because he had to send it as like 2 separate images. But S tier, Grunty's Lair. Okay, sure. Treasure Trove, Clock Wood. The only one that surprises me is Gobi's, but not a whole lot. Not a big surprise. It's just I feel like the rest of this I could get behind. A tier, Spiral Mountains. Just kind of put both. I see a lot of people probably would put them both together. In my mind, there's one that's superior, and they do rank Kazooie's above Tooie's consistently, it seems.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Or is that in chronological order because Kazooie was the first Spiral Mountain, Tooie was the second, you know?
Right, but
to me, I think Kazooie's is definitely better,
yeah. Terrydactyland is up there. That's interesting. And Bubblegloop. Both of those are high tier. Oh, we got a Cloud Cuckoo Land fan.
There we go.
I love to see Hailfire Peaks appear. I feel like that one just needs to be up there. B tier, Witchyworld, Jolly Rogers, Rusty Bucket Bay, Matt. I'm curious to see the bottom of their list. C tier, Mumbo's Mountain, and Mayahem Temple. That's probably one of the most upsetting ones that I've seen so far. No offense, Scrubber89, but really? Those two? Those are great levels. Glitter Ghost Mine, though, I agree. Bottom. Cauldron Keep, Grunty, we're in agreement on that. Clankers, we probably would swap out. We put Clankers below Rusty Bucket, right? After all.
Yes.
So yeah, okay. I wouldn't say Clankers is the worst. I definitely would put these two below Clankers, but I did. Why am I saying hypothetical? I did. And then we've got, let's shout them out. Okay, no, it's definitely not reading the names right. I apologize. I can't remember your name off the top of my head. But N. Here's your tier list. So you know your icon, your icon in Discord. And if you want to comment on the YouTube video when this is out, just comment your username. Say, hey, that was my tier list. I'm the Tails profile pic. That would be awesome. Or maybe I'll put it in the description and say thank you later because I can click on you later and look at your profile. So I'll do that. But here we go. S tier, Treasure Trove, Spiral Mountain, Tooie above Kazooie's.
Interesting.
That is a first and maybe the only one. I think these might be the end of the tier list in the Discord. Freezy Peak, okay. Mumbo's Mountain, all right. I would actually probably say if I was making the list myself, I'd probably put Mumbo's Mountain in S tier maybe. Yeah. Mumbo's Mountain and Mayahem kind of go together for me. So wherever I put them, I'd probably put them in a line.
Even though Mumbo's is a lot easier than Mayahem, I think they're both very, very good starter worlds for the games.
For sure. A tier, Cloud Cuckoo Land. That's a higher one. That one, I feel like Cloud Cuckoo Land has had the most fluctuation as far as where people put it. You either love it or you hate it. It's rarely in a B tier or a C tier. It's either D or A, basically.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. And I feel like it just reflects what I said earlier about the opinion on Canary Mary. I feel like that's the difference. The people that hate Canary Mary really hate Canary Mary, and they put it at the bottom.
And if they hate Canary Mary, usually the ones at the bottom are Glitter Gulch Mine and Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Yep, 100%. And if you can look past it, they put Cloud Cuckoo Land higher because it's a solid level. At the end of the day, it is a solid level. It's just Canary Mary that people just can't get past.
Mm-hmm.
But Click Clock, Hailfire, another Jolly Rogers Lagoon, another swimmer. Spire Mountain Kazooie. I just think that's so interesting with the two different ones. Grunty's Lair, Cauldron Keep, Isle of Hags, Glitter Gulch, Rusty Bucket, Gobi's Valley. Gobi's Valley is better than all of those. Well, maybe not Isle of Hags, but it's up there. And Grunty's Lair. Sorry, I forgot that was there too. Those three are, I would say these would be more B tier, and these would go down at the bottom at the very least, but I respect their opinion. C tier, Grunty's Industries, Bubblegloop, Mad Monster, Terrydactyland. Oh, yeah. Sure. Actually, this one kind of surprised me. Mad Monster surprises me.
If I was me, I would move Mad Monster probably to B, maybe A.
Yeah, Mad Monster is a really good level. That's the only person I've seen drop Mad Monster below a B, I think.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And, okay, they must not like the aesthetic of like scary, like horror kind of stuff. Because they put Witchyworld, which is kind of a similar aesthetic, just at a carnival. Yeah. They put that in D tier with Clanker's Cavern, which that's very controversial. That might just top it out as the most controversial level opinion that I've seen out of these lists that you guys have made. Witchyworld being at the bottom makes no sense to me because that is a phenomenal level. Everything about it is great. The only arguments about that is the transformation's a little weak. And I don't know, maybe it could have less mini games. I don't know, but it's reaching at that point.
I actually loved all the mini games in that world. I think in the game itself, I loved all the mini games.
Yeah, it's definitely not like Donkey Kong 64, where every mini game is like a repeat. Like, meh. I think the only thing I would say about the mini games in Witchyworld is that when you do like a mini game, there's levels of it. So you do like the first level, and you kind of just want to. I would just rather be done with it, but to get the extra stuff, you have to beat it at a harder difficulty like 2 more times. And I think it's padding. Yeah. That's padding, and I don't like padding.
I think maybe like the Star Spinner might, or the Saucer Apparel might, because the Saucer Apparel is kind of difficult.
Yeah, I had to go back down here because we do have another one. So Daniela, no, that said her whole name, so that must be okay. Cool. I just realized I can click on these tier lists and they get larger. Oops. Well, let's see Daniela's. She's got Hailfire, Mayahem, Bubblegloop at the top. Interesting Bubblegloops up there with those. A tier, Treasure Trove, Freezy, Cloud Cuckoo, Gobies, Jolly Rogers. B, Witchyworld, Terrydactyland, Mad Monster, Click Clock, Ilo Hague's Mumbo's Mountain. C tier, Grunty's Lair, Clanker's Cavern, Glitter Gulch, Spiral Mountains, both of them. I respect that. D, Cauldron Keep, Rusty Bucket Bay, Grunty Industries. Okay.
This one might have the most varying compared to all the others. Like, really teeter-totters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I get what you're saying because there's the levels that we say are high, they put high, but then they also put a bad level up there, and then they put the bad levels low, but then they also put a high level down there. Yeah. So it's like they put.
I agree with some of it, and I disagree with some of it. I mean, great lists in general, but it's just like because everybody has varying opinions, which I love about this fandom.
Yeah, I would say. I'm just gonna make sure. Oh, there's one more. Let's get P. This is definitely not saying all the. This is Possum. Their name is Possum. I know that for a fact. I will shout you guys all out in the description though. Don't you worry about it. So S tier, Click Clock Wood, Witchyworld, Freezy Z. A tier, Treasure Trove, Hailfire, Mayahem, Cloud Cuckoo Land, Gruntilda's Lair. B, Gobies, Spiral Mountain, Glitter Gulch, Mad Monster, Bubblegloop. C, Clankers, Mumbos, Ilo Hague's, Jolly Rogers, Spiral Mountain, Tooie. And D, Rusty Bucket, Cauldron Keep, Grunty Industries, Terrydactyland.
I think they might be one of the closer ones to ours.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
there's a couple that are different. Like Mumbo's and Ilo Hague's, they have a little lower, and they have Terrydactyland a little too low, but
closer.
High, but I think they're closer than most people to ours.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting from this is consistently. I see, without wavering from the top, Click Clock, Freezy Z, and Treasure Trove Cove are the 3 like top worlds of both games, because consistently people have those at the top of their list. Treasure Trove, Freezy Z. Well, maybe not Click Clock as much. It depends if you like verticality, but I think for the most part, definitely Treasure Trove and Freezy Z. Those are consistently at the top in everyone's list. Treasure Trove. This one put it a little bit lower, but there's Click Clock. Click Clock is on quite a few top results, so I will say that. And then it varies dramatically. Like people put just random things up there. There's a couple that kind of pop up a couple times. Like Hailfire pops up quite a bit on higher tiers. Right. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just the variety of the results and things. But yeah, now you see it all. You see our results. You've seen our list. I'll pop it up on the screen again. But that was the definitive tier list. Thank you so much, Slasher Scotty. All right, plant all your stuff. Tell them where you can find you. You will be featured and tagged in this video, so people can click down below and you can subscribe to them. He's got a lot of cool interviews, I know, with Grant Kirkhope. I've watched those interviews. It's pretty awesome to learn some of those behind the scenes. You got a great podcast. Just plant yourself. Tell it.
Absolutely. So I'm currently on a hiatus for my YouTube just because I am going for my master's degree on top of teaching 2 classes and working full time. So I'm not going to be doing any more interviews or any more content for my YouTube until probably December. But still give me a subscription because I'm still trying to grow and I still want to do that. Of course, I'm going to do collabs with Jiggylookback. But you can find my books. I have. One of my books is, if you're a horror movie fan, The Ultimate Halloween Movie Experience. It was published by Manor Media out of Orlando, Florida. And my agent, 3i Books, they helped me out tremendously getting this published. So this has 18, or is it 16 original interviews with actresses, actors, crew members, directors from the Halloween movies, as well as thousands of trivia questions and a foreword from Jamie Lee Curtis herself. So definitely check that out. Yes, very exciting. It's on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold, you can find it. This is my most prized possession, and you can pick it up in stores, but my little Funko Pops, /Scotty. So definitely check this out. It is going to be in stores this fall. I just found that out, so check that out. But yeah, this is exciting. My little Funko Pop, I love it. It was created by one of the sculptors from Funko themselves, so definitely check that out. I'm also on Cameo. If you want a shout out on Cameo, I will do happy birthdays. I will do happy anniversaries. I will do just hellos, any type of shout outs. If you're in a relationship and that relationship is kind of doomed and you don't think it's power to end it, I'll break up with them for you. All you gotta do is
as Gruntilda.
I'll do it as Gruntilda. I love it.
That was amazing.
I don't love you anymore. You better go. Right there's the door.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You have to create a rhyme on the spot is the thing. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so check all that out. You can, like I said, you can find me on YouTube /Scotty. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as /Scotty and Twitter as /Scotty1 because for some reason /Scotty I think was taken on there. I don't know how, but it has nothing to do with me, which is really crazy. But you can check me out on all those platforms. And then, of course, I have a Scotty McCoy fan page on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram, which is about my interview. Not really. I mean, I do promote my interviews, but about my authorship, my books. I'm also an actor. I own Gravestone Films production company. We have a movie and post-production that you can look up on Facebook. We mostly post on there. But that's pretty much it, I think.
If you obviously he's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Does a lot. And going back to school, doing so much. So the fact that we can sit down and talk about Banjo Kazooie for a little while has been just great. It's been awesome having you on here doing this little collab. I think this is going to be great. I think the community is really going to love just hearing your thoughts and having another voice here with the tier list because there's always, people know where I stand on things when I analyze these games, but it's good to have that second voice, that second opinion to come in and say, hey man, that level, it's fine. It's not as good as you're making it out to be,
Right.
Or actually on the flip side, which kind of happened, you're right. And I will say, he did mention that he's writing a Banjo Kazooie book. Okay,
yeah,
a strategy guide. Was that right?
Yeah, it's been working. I've been working on it on and off for the past couple of years. I mean, it's hard to write a book, especially when you have a full-time job and you have other criteria and extracurricular activities going on. But I mean, I've been working on it on and off. Right now, I'm still on the first chapter of Banjo Kazooie, but I have chapter 1, for example, Banjo Kazooie, and then I have the next section will be 1.1. And then it might be for example, characters, and then I have 1.2 or whatever, and then it has a list of which characters and all that. And I have pictures of the characters, I have descriptions of the characters, then I go into collectibles, and then I go into Grunty's Furnace Fun, and then in Grunty's Furnace Fun, I literally list like all the tiles and what all the tiles do and like what they all mean. And I have a list of every single rhyme she has for every single tile, and I have all of the like, and then I have like all the trivia questions. That's where I'm at now. Every single trivia question, and what you can and like it's like a check mark for the right answer and like an X for the two wrong answers, and I have all that, and I'm gonna do the same for Tooie, and I might go into Grunty's Revenge and Nuts and Bolts, but I only played each of them like one time, so I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with those at all. But yeah, I'm doing all that, and I asked Grant Kirkhope if he would like to write the forward when I'm done, and he said absolutely, like he'll get me that whenever I'm ready for it, and just things like that. I became really good friends with Grant Kirkhope, which is amazing. And he's gonna reach out to Steve Malpass and Steve, I think it's Males or something. Like he's gonna reach out to them so I can interview them eventually and talk more in
Awesome.
depth about the game's development. Which is going to be really awesome as well. So yeah, there's just so much stuff going on. Like I said, subscribe to my YouTube. If you're a horror movie fan, I have a lot of interviews. I have interviews with like Dee Wallace and Terry Kaiser. Just from Weekend at Bernie's alone is really cool. Like,
I love the fact that you have, you're Slasher Scotty. You're this big, big podcaster. You got everything coming from the horror elements, but you like Banjo Kazooie. And I'm like,
absolutely. We have a rankings video of Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie World. Actually, my most watched, most viewed video is all the Banjo Tooie Worlds ranked.
that's so funny. That's so funny. And now you're gonna have this one, and this is the next level of that, right? The next iteration of that. So we got to just get tons of views on it. And I think it's really funny because I actually initially started out my streaming, YouTubing career as the Studley Gamer is what I called myself. And it was a play because I was not brave at all, but you think Studley, like, oh, I'm brave, and I would play horror games, and that's what I did. So I do have that little inkling in my heart and a passion for horror games and horror movies and things like that. I really do enjoy it. So I think that's a cool little. There's something in your brain that must say horror movies, Banjo Kazooie. Maybe it's the witch connection. Maybe it's the Grunty and the monsters and things like that. I don't know.
The thing I loved about Banjo Kazooie the most, and even to this day, is Gruntilda. Like I when I'm looking for like things to buy about Banjo Kazooie, I need Gruntilda on that logo, or I need Gruntilda.
Yeah,
I want a Gruntilda. I want a Banjo Kazooie one. I want a Gruntilda one.
I will say that although I do love Gruntilda, I think she's a top tier villain. I mean, I can't not say that my favorite character is Banjo in general, but I do love Mumbo. I think Mumbo is my favorite not Banjo Kazooie character from those games, just because I love it. But he's same deal, kind of horror-esque. He's got a skull for a face. There are some scary elements. The classic art for the games and stuff when they first came out, Mumbo's terrifying. Like you look at Mumbo, he looks scary.
He is a turncoat in the death scene when Grunty becomes beautiful.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where I think maybe I'll have to do a video at some point. Maybe I'll have you back on and do about how Mumbo looks the way he does, because there's theories online about him being a Jinjo, which I know are not true, but there's a lot of convincing arguments for it. And there's the story about how he got his skull like fused to his head, like it was initially a mask or something, and Grunty did it, and they were trained by the same person, or he trained her. There's a lot of different information. I'd love to just dive in that really sometime and figure it out. And maybe that'll be for those of you that watch my channel, overthinking it maybe is a good space for that. But for me, I'll just mention this to people that my channel's changing just slightly. My analyzing series in particular is changing because I've been taking video games in parts and then releasing a long video at the end. I am no longer going to be releasing things in parts. This is my formal announcement on my channel because I've done it in a post form, and like this shouldn't be new to people that really follow me. But I'm just saying, I'm reiterating that I'm not going to be doing things in parts. I'm actually going to be doing one video that maybe 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if it's really engaging. Just me diving into a game and going through the whole game in one video, put it out. So rather than parts and then putting it out at the end. So that way it's easier for people who maybe forget to check for the uploads or miss a part, and then or the people that just want to wait for the end anyways in the longer form. It just provides a different way of doing it. So that's changing, and then I'm going to bring you more verses. I'm going to bring you more overthinking it, more collaborations. It's going to be great. Some more tier lists. One tier list I'm going to be talking about is like Nintendo controllers, I believe, and we're going to rank all those and talk about the consoles and rank those, and it's going to be really cool. So a lot of cool stuff in the future. So check out Scotty's stuff. Check out my stuff. Subscribe to both of us. In the description, I'm going to put all the links to all of our socials, and so you can go click through, follow us on whatever you'd like to follow us on. I know he's pretty active on things. I'm pretty active on a lot of things too. So, and join my Discord. And if you want to comment or send me your tier list, I'm still open to accepting tier lists. You can't be shouted out in the video now because you missed your opportunity for that. But I will definitely, there's a tier list results thing, and we can see your definitive ranking, and I will definitely comment on it. I'm super active in chatting with people because that's what I love to do. I just love to talk about these games, and I'm so glad I found somebody like Scotty to come in and talk about one of the best games of all time, if not the best game of all time. Definitely series. Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, and that's it. So
let's end it with this.